and fingerprinting gave away his status.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff.
Hello. I'm Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. How was your weekend?
Your camera's not centered at all.
No. There we go.
Check out my shirt. It's new.
We're blacking Illinois. Illinois is good. The government's bad.
I don't even know. Somebody got this for me for Christmas, and I don't know whether it was a joke or not. I don't remember. I don't remember who got it for me.
Well, that's how
That's
you
a
take
real
it.
Ryan Wiggins thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably watching right now going, oh.
Oh, yeah. I thought you liked it.
Hey, let's get into the show real quick. YouTube live chat poll today is, what is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? So go ahead and jump on the YouTube.
Nice.
If you're watching on a different channel, the link to the YouTube chat should be in the description. Pop over to YouTube, vote in that poll, and then you can pop on back to your regularly preferred viewing platform. But go ahead and vote, and then tell us why you voted the way you voted.
There's a lot of people talking on YouTube. Facebook and Twitch and Twitter. I don't even know if Twitter, you can't even comment on Twitter. But Facebook and Twitch can seem a little lonely, like no one's watching this, and we'll have 100 people having a conversation on YouTube. So.
Yeah. So YouTube's bouncing around.
See a while.
Then at 12:25, we're going to have Joe Concha join us. He's going to talk to us about the Trump town hall and just kind of everything that's been going on over the weekend and stuff like that. And we love Joe Concha, and he is a great interview always, and we're excited to have him on. So that's
easy.
at 12.
I ask him one question, he talks for 15 minutes, and he makes tons of sense.
Yeah. So set your watches for that, and make sure you stick around for 12:25 to catch Joe Concha. What you got for Wiggins America, Ryan?
Wiggins America's Monday roundup. We've got some, probably, I would say, leaning a little bit more to serious social stuff.
One of those stories is about worms.
Well, that one's not. that one's about jumping worms.
Serious social stuff.
Yeah.
Worms.
Worms.
That one's
jumping worms.
That one's probably the most concerning, actually. The one about worms. It depresses me.
So I've looked at some of these topics. They are good topics. You'll want to stick around and check them out. Have a lot of fun. 107, we're going to connect with Steve Moore. He's a distinguished fellow in economics at Heritage, and he's going to talk to us about the debt ceiling and what's going on in that battle and what happens if we don't, and who's right and who's wrong and who's telling you what. And he's going to try to cut through all the junk and give you the gist of what's going on. And then at 1:25, we're going to have Andrew Arthur of the Center for Immigration Studies. He's a former immigration judge, and he has been down in El Paso all week. And so he's going to talk to us about the lifting of Title 42, what we're seeing, and how maybe we can fix this issue. So don't miss that. Actually, it's a really packed show, so don't miss any of it. Just like set your dial and stay here the whole time. Don't move.
Great idea.
Yeah, if you're here now, there's no reason why you shouldn't be here through at least the first
three hours.
2.5 hours of the show. Yeah, 3 hours.
Just stay here for the whole thing. It's great. All right. That's pretty much the show. Hannah will have the poll results at 2:42. And she's ready to go with that. So make sure you leave your comments so she stars them. And if you leave a good comment, she'll read them to him. I did. So I'll just repeat that again, though. What is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, white supremacy. Those are your 4 choices. Which is the most dangerous?
All right.
That's the pre-show.
An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
When I talk about the socks that I wear to stay athletic, to stay active, I'm talking about Prevent Sprain Socks. Online, and it's real simple, PreventSprainSocks.com. When you shop on there, you're going to notice all the different colors, the different styles, including the fact that they have socks for golfers that give you the extra ankle support that you are going to need. Reports indicate 50% less recovery time when you use these socks. I have worn them to recover from days where I've spent tons of time walking, and it gets that circulation, that blood flow moving. And if you wear them while you're doing the activity, even better. They increase the blood flow, which in turn lessens muscle and ankle fatigue. Anybody can benefit from Prevent Sprain socks. Athletes, diabetics, chronic ankle instability. If you're somebody like me who had an ankle injury in high school and it's just kind of plagued you because you didn't wait long enough for it to heal, you can check out Prevent Sprain socks and quickly see the advantage to using them. If you're looking for a purchase right now, I want you to check out this St. Louis company online. You can go to PreventSprainSocks.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at SteelUSA.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
To choose love over hate, unity over disunion, progress over retreat, to stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. And I'm not saying this because I'm of the black HBCU.
First of all, there are no non-black HBCUs. Second of all, when you clarify and qualify it that way, it kind of feels like you're saying it because you're standing there. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. We have just found out some huge information right now, which is, where is this administration, the Joe Biden administration, where are they focusing their efforts? On the biggest threats in the United States? White supremacy. Now, you might think, what? What did this man just say? But I think that this is an opportunity for us to understand and to gain some clarity. If the Biden administration is focusing on white supremacy as the biggest threat to the United States, it really makes sense why we don't give a crap about the southern border, China, and reckless spending, doesn't it? I don't know. It makes sense to me. It makes me go, well, at least now I understand why your efforts aren't being focused on fixing some of these dramatic issues that are facing this country right now. Well, that's the YouTube live chat poll for today, and I'd love to know what you think is the most dangerous threat to our homeland security. Do you agree with President Biden that it's white supremacy, or do you think it's open borders, China, just in general, the whole schmo, or reckless spending? Those are the four options for today. I'm sure that there are others that you could list as well, and if you think that the biggest threat isn't listed in that, you can certainly leave a comment on the YouTube. Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel. The live broadcast right now is there, and you can comment in the live chat portion where that poll is located. We have a lot of issues facing us right now. We have a lot of people now starting to talk about the 2024 elections as they are upon us. Ron DeSantis making his way through Illinois this past weekend and then into Iowa. Donald Trump into Iowa for a rally that didn't end up happening. They canceled it due to bad weather. And a lot of people are having conversations now, starting to have these conversations about, what should we do with the direction of our country come this next presidential election? And it's really easy to get wrapped up in the Biden-Trump conversation, which is very reflective on what has happened already and not very hopeful and predictive of what could happen in the future. And you got to ask yourself, if we continue to have the conversation about those two gentlemen, about what has happened in the past, how could we possibly fix anything in the future? That doesn't mean that Joe Biden's not going to be the Democrats' guy or that Donald Trump's not going to be the Republicans' guy. But it does mean that the people that matter, which is you're the one who has to be focusing your conversations on the issues that are actually important to you as an American citizen, as a taxpayer, as a freedom-loving American, which is why we ask the question of you, what's the most dangerous threat to our homeland? We hear the president say in front of the HBCU crowd, which he then designates as not because he's standing in front of a black HBCU, it's his words, not mine, that the biggest threat facing our country is white supremacy. That's, to me, that's the stupidest, dumbest, most pandering, Hillary Clinton, hot sauce in my bag type of comment that you could make, but there he is doing it, and he's gotten away with it so far. I mean, even when Joe Biden said previously that in order to vote for him or in order to officially be black, you had to vote a certain way. I mean, it becomes repetitive and predictable to listen to him make these kinds of comments.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I don't even just pause for a second and imagine a Republican saying that and getting away with it. You can't. It wouldn't be possible. If you have trouble.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
What is that? What even is that? They found the oldest, whitest guy in the entire country to run the Oval Office so that they could tell black people what it means to efficiently swipe your black card when you go to vote. That's unbelievable. How does this man get away with that? If you really want to buy in to the leftist way that they present themselves on these issues, and I'm sitting here as a conservative Republican suburban white girl who completely understands that the existence in this country, if you are white or if you're black, is different. It is not the same. It is not the same to be white as it is to be black in the United States of America. It's also not the same to be a woman or to be a man in America. It's also not the same to be elderly and maybe middle-aged or young in America. There are things about who we are as people that we cannot control, that are who we are, that cause others to treat us a certain way. Sometimes those things are atrocious. Sometimes those things are incredibly discriminatory. Sometimes those things are hateful. Sometimes the way we treat one another is habitual and requires a little education in order to reflect upon the way we interact with one another so that we can improve our relationship with someone else. This could be across religious differences. This could be somebody who is agnostic or atheist having a conversation with a Christian, and the agnostic or atheist individual is going to make some assumptions about the Christian, and the Christian is going to make some assumptions about the atheist that are entirely not true. That exists in a world where ignorance supersedes the conversation. The only possible way to break through those barriers is to care more about one another and have conversations where your eyes are open to things that maybe you didn't understand before, through interaction with one another. The president, benefits when we are afraid to have those conversations. This administration benefits when unity is unattainable. They have a way of making unity across an abyss that we cannot cross. But they're always pointing at it saying, wouldn't it be nice if? And they're always pointing at it saying, it's over there and we're over here and we need to get to that place. And then they put the boogeyman in the middle, which is Republicans, suggesting that Republicans are the ones who are creating this division, who are creating this separation. It's not true. It's also not true that your Thanksgiving table Democrats, your uncles, your nieces and nephews that are Democrats who may vote differently than you are the ones who are responsible for this. There is, as I've referred to them in the past, the big Democrat Party. These are the people who are profiting power and money off of ensuring that division always exists and that the goal is always unity, because the goal is always on the opposite side of the thing that they manufacture, which is the division. Because if they are always capable of selling you a solution to a problem that can never be achieved, then you will always need the Democrat Party. You will always need to vote for the Democrat who says to you that the Republicans don't care about black people. That is literally what these Democrats are saying in office, and it is as far from the truth as possible. And if you are in interaction with people in your life whose skin color is different than yours, whose religion is different than yours, whose economic status is different than yours, whose neighborhood is different than yours, or school, or in St. Louis, whose high school is different than yours, you quickly understand that the stuff that is being peddled by this president when it comes to race is utter baloney sausage. There's no truth to it. If you step away from your own personal participation in today's culture and you let them dictate to you how culture is, you will quickly find that they are right. But that's because you've abdicated your responsibility in the interaction. I think we all have friends who are on both sides of the aisle, who are diverse, who are dynamic in what they think and why they think the way they think, people in your own neighborhood. And if you live in a neighborhood, you probably have a similar economic status because living in a neighborhood requires you to be able to afford this, that, or the other thing. And you probably have neighbors who look differently than you. You might have neighbors who vote differently than you. You might have neighbors who go to different churches or don't go to church the way you do. And at the end of all of this, do you still talk to each other across fences? Do you still high five or wave at each other when you're cutting the grass and you're both out doing it at the same time? When you're pulling in and out of the garage or the driveway? If they leave their garage door open at night, do you still let them know, hey, your garage door is open, just wanted to let you know? Of course, because you care about these people or because they care about you. That doesn't happen in Biden's America, because in Biden's America, the biggest threat to you right now is white supremacy. And folks, if you're white in Biden's America, you are guilty. If you live in the state of California, a state that did not even exist when slavery existed in this country, if you are white, you are going to be guilty of the sins of people you were never related to, that never participated in the thing that you were being charged with, literally charged with. And if you are black, you have now been made into a victim by government. Government did this to you in California. And even they are having trouble figuring out how to implement it because it's not serviceable. It's also ridiculous. It's also patently absurd to think that you would go in the state of California and the governor there, Gavin Newsom, would feel so emboldened to pander to people to say, how would you like a check? And then basically to assign charge and benefit of the money that will transverse hands on skin color. Seems racist to me. In the United States right now, we are facing a whole host of issues. And the truth is we're always facing challenges. We're always facing issues. We're always facing global pressures, domestic pressures, political pressures, cultural pressures. We're always going to do that because we're free. And when we are in a place that is free, we get to entertain our own ideas. We get to have our own values. We get to have our own perspectives that determine our priorities. And we get to say something about it until we don't any longer. If you look at our southern border and you see record numbers of crossings taking place right now on our southern border, and you don't see that as a huge issue, it makes me wonder how you could love this country. If you look at the power grab in this particular moment in history that China is making because we have a weak president in the Oval Office, you see what China is willing to do, willing to require from the world that they will not participate in themselves. You have to ask yourself, how can we be a serious nation when we are not combating what China is putting upon us and the rest of the world? How can we not be taking that seriously? How can we be bending a knee to that? And if you look domestically at the people who are in Washington, D.C., who are supposed to represent you, who has to have a budget of your own, and when the money coming in is less than the money going out, you have no choice but to recalibrate your spending and get the situation under control. That's not the case in Washington, D.C. We just raised the debt ceiling. And we wait for the president and for Congress to get together to have a conversation on behalf of the American people. Do they care more about the American people than they care about their own political party? I'd like to know. But none of that matters to this president when he sees that white supremacy is the biggest thing facing the United States of America today. And he says so repeatedly. This is not a new statement from him. But it is an important one for you as a voter, as a taxpayer, to remember when the reckless spending continues, when China is running roughshod over the world and over the United States, when the open borders aren't even taken seriously by a border czar that can't find her way out of a paper bag. What is the biggest issue facing the United States today? I want your vote on the YouTube live chat poll today, if you would be so kind. Go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel and let us know what the most dangerous threat to our homeland is. Vote, comment, and we will feature those throughout the course of the show. When we come back, Joe Concha is going to lay it down for us. He's a political columnist at The Hill and a Fox News contributor. And he's going to talk to us about this president, the pandering that comes from this president, but also the solutions that might be in front of us. Joe Concha on the Annie Frey Show. We come back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Air Comfort Service online at aircomfortservice.com has a great offer for you, and I want to make sure I say this to you as often as I can so that you can take advantage of it. Working with Corey and the Air Comfort Service heating and cooling team for years and years, and also being a customer of theirs, I stand by the service that they provide you in your home, also in your place of business. They do residential and commercial. If you're in the market for a new HVAC system, through May 26th, they have a fantastic offer for you, but you need to get a hold of them right away. I'm going to give you this number now and at the end here, 314-513-0091, 314-513-0091. Let me tell you about this offer. In May through May 26th. You can save up to $7,500 in manufacturer and utility rebates and tax credits on a hybrid HVAC system. If you're in the market, you need to call them right now and see if this is something that can save you the money that you're going to need to save on the new system you're going to have to put in your house. I've got a new air conditioner, furnace, water heater from them, and an AeroSeal duct ceiling, and you will not be disappointed in the work that Air Comfort Service does in your home. This ends May 26th, so give them a call today. 314-513-0091, online at aircomfortservice.com.
Back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet Store. Have you been suffering with foot pain, knee pain, low back pain, or plantar fasciitis? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet Store can help you.
My feet would just ache, my back, my ankles. I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
No shots, no surgery, no medication.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive west of I-270 in the Plaza with Subway or in Shiloh, Illinois across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Good Feet arch supports fit in all your own shoes. Come to the Good Feet Store for a free test walk today. You can try it before you buy it.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
There's a lot to celebrate this month. Graduations, the end of the school year approaching, barbecues, and warm weather. Celebrate in a clean home by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res. I have trusted them for years. They were actually just in my home about a month ago. And you know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any of the dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that the other carpet cleaners use. They have a great set of technicians. They'll walk you through all the particulars of your carpet cleaning. They do a great job. And check out the 4,600 raving customer reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating. Schedule today. Get 3 rooms of carpet, zero resified, starting at $129. That's a $40 savings. You can also take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Make sure you mention my name, Mark Reardon. Book with Zero Res at ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020. Also, refresh, restore, and protect your investment. Now's the best time to book Zero Res for your business or office cleaning to get you ready to provide your employees and patrons for the summer of 2023. Zero Res, online at ZeroResSTL.com.
When it comes to finding the perfect grill, family-owned and operated Cotton's Ace Hardware has you covered. Get free delivery and free fuel on any grills over $300, and free assembly and haul away of your old grills with the purchase of a new one. With a selection from Weber to Traeger and your local retailer of the Big Green Egg, Cotton's Ace Hardware makes it easier than ever to replace your old grill. Let Cotton's Ace Hardware make your family barbecue more enjoyable with that one-of-a-kind grill you've been looking for. Find your nearest St. Louis area location at cottonzacehardware.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Don't suffer from spring allergies when Air Comfort Service has solutions to remove up to 99% of allergens. Improve your indoor air quality and get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
97.1 FM Talk continues to support our brave men and women in blue as we pay tribute to National Police Week.
We take time to honor local, state, and federal peace officers who have died or been injured in the line of duty.
Thank you from all of us at 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
There are a lot of obstacles, but I think what we produced this week, this 38-page memorandum, was pretty solid evidence that we've been able to accumulate, showing that Joe Biden lied when he said his family never took money from China, showing that the media got it wrong when they said none of these payments were ever made while Joe Biden was in office, and then naming 9 Biden family members that received money. None of this was ever known before. So we presented the media with something they weren't used to, especially when Adam Schiff was leading the investigations. We produced evidence.
Oh, what you know, Joe? Joe Concha, columnist for The Hill and Fox News contributor.
Joe Concha back on the Annie Frey Show with us. We appreciate you being here. Joe, there's so much to talk to you about since the last time you were on with us. And I got to ask you to kind of lay out for us in your research on your book, come on, man, the truth about Joe Biden's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad presidency, and everything James Comer and the House Oversight Committee is laying out for us. What are your thoughts?
I think that unlike past stories about the past White House, the Trump White House, where we had a lot of sources close to the president kind of stories, right? He said, she said, gossip treated as gospel. Obviously, Russia collusion, obviously Russian bounties on U.S. troops. I could go on and on in terms of all the stories that ultimately were debunked or proven wrong. In this case, we have actual receipts. We have bank receipts to 9 members of the sitting president's family who received millions of dollars from adversaries like China and Russia and places like Ukraine, which is getting tens of billions of dollars from us in a war that will never end. It seems a complete stalemate there. And obviously, now Romania has been added to the list as well. So all this money, and not one person in the media, in this administration, can answer a very simple question, which is what service, what value add was supplied, not just by Hunter Biden, but by James Biden, the president's brother, Hallie Biden, the lovable guy who's getting nice checks for tens of thousands of dollars sent to her. What did these people do exactly to warrant that sort of compensation in foreign lands and at energy companies when they have no experience in energy. So if I read one more piece today or hear one more piece of analysis saying that Comer doesn't have any evidence, there's nothing to see here, please move on, obviously that is alternative facts, to use an old saying.
Sure. Yeah. A good phrase as well. Joe Concha with us right now. He's with Fox News contributor. And, I was just thinking today on the way, and I always kind of have this wider thought on a Monday coming in, assessing what took place the week before and the weekend. And I cannot think of anything that is needed more in this country than truth being reported. Just somewhere where Americans can go and expect truth every time and let the chips fall where they may. I understand that you have a new gig, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of talk to us about it so that we can check it out. What's the new digs?
The new gig is called The Messenger, themessenger.com. It is a media startup from Jimmy Finkelstein, the most famous person in media that nobody knows.
But they got Joe Concha.
Yeah, that's true. Jimmy was he ran The Hill for many years, and he sold it to Nexstar for something like $150 million. So he took about a year then to bring forth The Messenger, and its mission is quite simple, and I think it's a good business model as well. We're going to do objective reporting, let the chips fall where they may. We report, you decide, to borrow a Fox News term, right? And the reporting is not going to be laced in opinion. We're not going to have a bunch of analysis within the reporting, which is, again, opinion disguised as reporting, right? And then our opinions will come from the left and the right and the center, which is, wow, differing opinions. If you don't want to read something that Juan Williams wrote for us today, and obviously he's liberal, you don't have to read it if you don't want to. You want to read my column today? You can read it, not read it. That's the point, though. I don't understand some of these outlets that come out and the reporting is biased and they only offer one perspective. I don't see how you're going to be successful if you're just trying to cater to one side of the political aisle, one side of ideology. And I think that's why this is going to be so successful, because we have a guy that's run successful publications before. And the mission is something I think that Americans really crave, is a place you could trust and a place where we're not taking a side in our reporting.
Yeah, I think it's so necessary, especially moving into the presidential election, all of the elections, really. There's so much at stake going into November of 2024. We say that every election, but it's true every election. And I look at the sensationalism right now. Honestly, I was going to say that comes from Joe Biden and saying white supremacy is our biggest threat, so on and so forth. But also we have a lot of sensationalism that comes from the right as well, to be honest, that Americans' lives right now are not better than they were 4 years ago. And we have to be able to assess real facts and policies and not the drama that goes along with elections in order to make a good, educated decision in 2024. I don't even know if it's even possible that we could get back to that, but I'm hoping that maybe it is.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago, right? That was the famous saying from Ronald Reagan, and he won away. To a simple conclusion, like, no, under Jimmy Carter, I am not better off than I was 4 years ago. And now we're seeing it again, obviously, with Joe Biden. What you just stated was fact in terms of Americans' lives aren't better. I mean, you look at inflation, it's 3 times higher still than it was when this president took office. We have a crime crisis that's driving major exoduses out of San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and most Democrat-run cities. The border, the coverage around this just floors me. So because there was a drop over the weekend in border crossings, you have the president and many of his allies in the media declaring victory, actually spiking the football over. We still had 4,200 people enter this country illegally over the weekend. You remember Jay Johnson? He was the head of Department of Homeland Security under President Obama. He said anything over 1,000 per day is a crisis. We're at 4 times that. And you have the president saying, wow, it's not as bad as people thought it was going to be. It's like, this, we can't settle anymore, I think, is the bottom line. So whether it's inflation, whether it's border, whether it's crime, test scores, education, 30-year low, ACT test scores. I could go through every metric right now, and this is a presidency that is failing. The question is, will this election be a referendum on the current president, or will it be one on the past one in Trump, or a Ron DeSantis if he ends up getting the nomination, Annie?
Yeah, they're suggesting that Ron DeSantis' announcement is imminent and that we will hear and see the launch of his campaign soon. Set up the table for me what you think is going to be at least the next 6 months of this presidential campaign, because if it's a Trump-Biden situation, we have referendums on both presidencies. Yep. And it's interesting to look at Donald Trump's presidency and look at how amazingly record-breaking good it was, and then COVID hit, and that's what a lot of people are going to remember about his presidency. Certainly all of the economic numbers that the president currently likes to tout are because the Democrats and some willing Republicans shut everything down, and they're like, look at all these jobs we put back into place. But Biden doesn't have very good record, at least with moderates and conservatives. So how do you see this shaping up in the next 6 months?
Wow. Well, if former President Trump sticks to talking about 2024 and not 2020, then things will go better for him. And I know, look, he was asked during that CNN town hall. First question from Caitlin Collins, right, which is, do you think you won the 2020 election? I don't think that was top of mind for Republican voters, but she asked it. And he has to answer that question instead of defending it and just relitigating it over and over again. If I'm him, I just say, look, I've said what I had to say on the topic. It's on the record, and I stand by it. But I don't want to talk about that election anymore. I want to talk about 2024, and this is what I'm going to do in terms of X, Y, Z. If he had some discipline, he could probably do quite well. But we've seen that discipline and Donald Trump are not synonymous, so we'll see. As for DeSantis and everybody writing that off, look, that whole race for that GOP nomination is going to come down to when they're on a debate stage, right? And I think that's why Trump is hinting at, well, he's not going to debate because he has such a big lead. Why bother? Nope, that's not how it works. This is a nomination, not a coronation. But if Trump eventually is goaded into it by being called a coward, and he will if he doesn't debate, if DeSantis does well in that situation, then I think it's a toss-up. Then I think it's 50-50 because he's making the argument already, and he did over the weekend in Iowa, is that you want somebody who can win, or do you want somebody who can motivate the other side to vote against them, even if the economic record's good and the border record's good and the foreign policy is good. People will just vote against Donald Trump just by reflex because they don't like him personally. I don't know if the same thing happens with Ron DeSantis if he gets the nomination. So I think a debate or two, just like it did with Carter and Reagan, that will decide the entire nomination process on that side.
I also think it's a very good exercise in how we choose our nominees and eventually our presidents, too, to think about the importance of every state. Like the most important vote I will probably take as a Republican who lives in the state of Illinois might be who I vote for in the primary for the Republican nomination, because there are votes that you get from every state. Every state matters. And then you come down to the general election. And honestly, Republicans in Missouri, you're probably voting for Republican. Your state's going to go red. But if you look at Wisconsin, Georgia, Arizona, some of these, Pennsylvania, these other states, I mean, that's where the election is going to come down to once again. It has multiple times before. Do you see that the Republican Party as a whole is keying in on these states? Do you think that their target is correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I see these national polls. I'm like, I don't even bother reading them. It makes no sense. Presidential elections come down to 5 states. Okay. They come down to Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. I even took Florida and Ohio off the list because they're now firmly red states. Mike DeWine won by something like 25 points in the last election, and DeSantis obviously won by about 20. So you got to do well with independents in those states that I just talked about because, as you said, 10,000 votes decided the state of Arizona, 12,000 decided Georgia. That is a minuscule amount. Wisconsin was less than a percentage point. Pennsylvania, obviously, very close as well. So you got to get independents in those states, suburban women or blue-collar Democrats. And Donald Trump got them in 2016. The question is, in 2020, is he a stronger or a weaker candidate than he was then? And I think he's probably not as strong just because, again, too much talk about things that people don't want to talk about and not enough about the issues.
Isn't it interesting, Joe, that it's really up to Donald Trump? Like all the mentality to shift and talk forward and to win this thing and wrap this thing up with a mandate is resting in his hands. He's just got to choose to focus on the things that American voters are focusing on.
That's right. And I just wonder what kind of advisors do you have around him, right? Kellyanne Conway did a phenomenal job in 2016. Hammering home certain points that the candidates weren't even talking about, immigration being obviously the leader on that front. So, yeah, you're right. It all comes down to Trump in the end. I think Biden, obviously, this is a guy, he's had 3 public events on his schedule over the last 5 days. Can you imagine this? One was speaking at like a graduation ceremony. And he's now going to ask the American people for 4 more years, despite having a lighter schedule than, a toll collector in an easy pass lane, right? I mean, it's not a lot going on there. So I wonder how many people will be like, we can't have this guy as president at 85. And then if he decides he wants to step down and resign, then the vice president polls worse and is somehow a worse public speaker. So, I mean, it's such an odd election. can't believe that this may be the two people that we end up having again in a rematch.
Here we go. It's a buckle up time, white knuckle election, and yet we feel like we've seen this movie already. Well, Joe Concha of The Messenger, themessenger.com. I'm on the website right now. It looks fantastic. We appreciate your time as always and your insight. Love having you here.
Yeah, The Messenger. We got an exclusive interview with Donald Trump and with Joe Manchin. So two great interviews. You want to get some good reads today. Thanks, Annie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. We'll have you back soon. Fox News contributor and contributor to themessenger.com. I'm on the website right now, and it looks great. I encourage you to go check it out. We need more outlets, not less. And the more that we have, the more places you can go. And generally speaking, what I do, big news story comes out, I usually try to read 4 or 5 articles from various dramatically different places. What are the facts that are consistent in all of those stories? Those, to me, usually end up being the facts, and the rest is just opinion. So we're all allowed to have our own opinions, but it's important to know what the basis is for those. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the Weekend Roundup with Ryan Wiggins in studio. Wiggins America. When we return, do not go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust,
Stewart's American Mortgage is the home of the bagel loan, and when you are shopping for a mortgage to buy the house that you want to make your home, you want to go with the place that's going to give you the best economic situation. Obviously, that's Stewie with Stewart's American Mortgage. Using the bagel loan means you're going to get your mortgage without paying closing costs. Let me repeat that. Without paying closing costs. They do not exist. They're not tucked away or rolled into the loan. There's no magic trick. They just don't exist. You don't have to pay them. Obviously, 314-324-4440. You're going to want to call or text Stewie and say, Annie told me about the bagel loan. How can you help me? 314-324-4440. Stewart's American Mortgage is going to be there to shepherd you through the whole process. They do business the old-fashioned way. You're not going to call 314-324-4440 and get a different person every time, because that's Stewie's cell phone number. Reach out to him, tell him Annie sent you, and ask him how the bagel loan can help you secure that mortgage and also get the house that you want to put a bid in right now. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Surprise!
Surprise!
You know, surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When children were being fatally injured by window blind cords, Honor Law took on the manufacturers to have dangerous cords banned.
Call Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618-9 million.
The med spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the med spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Hey, do you want to know what's going on with Title 42 and everything at the border? Tune back in at 1:25 or just keep it here for Andrew Arthur. He's a resident fellow in law and policy for the Center of Immigration Studies. He's going to be here breaking down the whole thing. The time right now, 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream. Two. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
We'll now fire the...
You never was this nice, you cared for me. Now you're talking like you made a change. The more you talk, the more things sound the same. What makes you think you can just walk back?
Wiggins! Welcome to Monday, friends. This is the Monday Roundup for Wiggins America. Some stories that you may have missed over the weekend that I wanted to bring to light. The first one being conservative teenagers are generally happier than their liberal peers.
That is not surprising. Isn't it like a prereq? If you're a young liberal, shouldn't you just be mad at the world all the time?
I feel like that's the case.
Well, that's kind of what they're saying here. Is conservative teenagers are in general significantly happier than their liberal peers, according to a university study, Columbia University. So this isn't like a right-wing think tank or something.
Were there a bunch of sad emojis in the report?
Let me open that really quick. Yes, there are.
Okay.
It says
how you know it's legitimate.
That epidemiologist Catherine Gimbrone and her co-authors compared...
Epidemiologist?
That's what it says. Her co-authors compared depressive attitudes of 12th graders. Now listen to this time frame, because this is important. 2005 to 2018. So that's not even now.
No.
That's
pre-COVID.
All pre-COVID. This is 5 years ago that it ended.
An epidemiologist, this is somebody who studies incidence, distribution, and possible control of diseases and other factors relating to health.
Well, this is Fox News telling us this, so I'm assuming she's one. It says she's one of the co-authors.
I'm just interested in an epidemiologist who's studying this pre-COVID.
Yeah. Why?
How could we make them more sad?
This emoji.
Oh, man, there are a lot of sad emojis in here. So this is a legitimate report. This was defined in the study as if you were right-wing, it said you were support of individual liberty, right-wing social and religious values, and unregulated free markets. If you were liberal, that was defined as support of equal opportunity, free but semi-regulated markets, civil liberties, and social justice. The research concluded that conservatives reported lower average depressive effects, derogation. That's not degradation, derogation. Derogatory, like self-derogatoriness, and loneliness scores and higher self-esteem overall than other groups. Conservatives tested at the top, and they did other parts of the study apparently too, and conservative and liberal was the clearest breakdown of these things.
I wonder if that comes down to that social justice stuff, because if you stop and think about it, when you point out social justice issues, you're saying that there's something wrong and either you're part of it or you're a victim of it. And neither one of those is good for anybody's mental health. So I wonder maybe if you look at these social justice issues and you say, I'm oppressed because of X, Y, and Z, or I'm an oppressor because I'm not X, Y, and Z, that doesn't have a positive effect on the way you think.
It is so shameful that grown people are taking advantage of young people
Absolutely.
to appropriate them into their cause. It's not a cause that any child is choosing. I mean, when you're in, think about this. I took DARE in 6th grade. I think we were one of the first classes to do it in 6th grade instead of 7th grade. I think you do DARE in like 3rd or 4th grade now.
I did DARE in 5th grade.
5th grade?
Mm-hmm.
And I went to a parochial school. I was sitting in a Lutheran school taking DARE. And I'm like, drugs are the worst thing ever. And I've never taken drugs. I've never been in a position where I felt super pressure to do it. I've been around people who were, smoking weed or whatever it is. And that was illegal the majority of the time of my life. But still, when you're in 4th grade, 5th grade, or 6th grade, and you have a police officer come into your classroom and tell you that drugs are bad, you shouldn't do drugs, this is what happens to people who do drugs, or this is what happened to people who drink and drive. You take that on in a personal way that is formative in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not arguing with that. I think that is a good message to send to kids and to tell them at a young age. And I think it's important that it comes from police officers to show you that police officers see these things but also care about you and don't want you to go down this path. But if you were to take every burden of the world on at that young age, you become a warrior for something that you can't possibly understand. And then in this instance, when you're talking about racial division and all of this DEI stuff, or they're going to change that now. It's diversity and belonging is the next thing that's coming because the other thing won't working out so well. When you burden children with these things, it's not a fair fight. It's not a fair audience. They do not have the life experience or the cognitive ability to process these things. They're open vessels, and these adults are abusing these children by pouring this stuff into their heads.
I remember the first time I ever started questioning something that I thought, this may not be true, was watching the show Captain Planet. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was, the messages aren't terrible, but I was questioning. I'm like, I think they're preaching something to me here, and I'm not sure whether I agree with it or not. I was too young to really question, but I was like asking for the first time.
Do you remember the movie Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the whole thing. It's like this big pollutant pumping thing makes this monster come out. And
Humans are bad. Forest fairies are good.
Yeah. I work with youth every day, and you can see the effects that this sort of thing has on people. And it's like you were saying at the very beginning, it's disgusting that adults are manipulating children, emotionally abusing children to make them feel bad for something that they have no responsibility for.
That's not to say that any of those children wouldn't grow up to have those same values and perspectives that somebody on the left or even the far left would have, but they're not doing it in a balanced way that is true and honest to the cause. They're taking advantage of children, and it's gross.
I didn't feel like I could really debate anything or even have the ability to think outside of what was being told to me until I was at least in high school. And I remember thinking in 11th grade history, people were preaching things that I was like...
I was going to say 11th grade history too.
Yeah. And they were talking about why we shouldn't build things in certain areas. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure I agree with that. It was the first time I really started to debate that stuff in my head. All right, that's story number 1. It's the Monday Roundup. We got to whip them through.
It's good that you remind us of that fact.
You got to go back to the thesis here over and over. Second story. Residents of California have been leaving the state in droves over the last few years due to radical policies and high prices governing the state. Many former residents have been settling in more politically red states such as Florida and Texas, which have seen immense population growth. And guess who joined Jesse Waters to talk about that? Actor Dennis Quaid was explaining why there is a push from actors in the movie industry to move from California to Texas. He said that there is more business-friendly legislation brewing in Texas, and he's made some great movies there, and he said, I really like being there, and many other people do too. But he said in the Texas State House, he's hoping to see an increase of film funding from $40 million currently to a possible $300 million.
More government funding in Texas?
That's what I was going to ask you about. Now, I love the idea of moving things from California to Texas, but at what cost? Should they step in?
Show me the economy, the improvement in the economy of these movies coming to Texas. Show me how much it boosts the economy, and then make the case.
I think the same thing. As far as level playing field goes, I can't really make an argument that the film industry should get any sort of special treatment. But I do wonder if there's something to be said for having the messaging, which is so huge, controlled in a place that's not fully leftist.
Well, that's just Texas, though. I mean, it's the people that are doing the messaging that would be controlling the messaging, not the state where it occurs. You know, if you move Hollywood out of Hollywood into Texas, it's just Hollywood in Texas.
Yep.
It's interesting, too, like, when you watch movies, like I just watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, at the end of all those movies, it's like the Georgia Peach.
Georgia.
They do a lot of movies in Georgia. And does Georgia give them any special privileges or anything like that? I mean, yes. I can't answer that.
Yeah, they do. They do. And Georgia used to be a red state.
There you go.
So.
It's just very, very friendly on like tax leniency towards people who want to come there. A lot of incentives.
Last one, working in real quick here because it affects us right here in Illinois and Missouri. The highly invasive jumping worm is a invasive species. You need to watch out for these things. They're destroying land.
Like the story you should have started with.
No, this is the one I just want to throw that out there. If you see the highly invasive jumping worm.
Is it here already?
It is already here.
What does it look like?
It's about a foot long, and it looks like a regular earthworm. But if you try to grab it.
Long?
Yeah, it's about a foot long.
It's an earthworm that's a foot long.
And if you try to grab it.
And it jumps.
It kind of jerks around on you. And they want you to kill them. If you see them, kill them. They don't sort of survive our winters, which is good, but their eggs do. So if you see their eggs, kill them.
Well, I need to revise the YouTube live chat poll. What is the most dangerous threat to our homeland?
Apparently it's jumping worms.
We might have to add a fifth somehow, YouTube. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
So when you go to Slim 180 and you start the process of losing weight with Slim 180, it starts with a conversation, and that conversation is about you. Everybody who comes into Slim 180 has their own story. Everybody who comes into Slim 180 has their own goals. When you talk to your counselor at Slim 180, they're going to pair you with the program that benefits you the best, that helps you achieve the weight loss the best. The Regenerate program with the semaglutide that you are going to, it's a very popular weight loss medication right now. Lots of people using it under other various names. You go to Slim 180, you're going to get it cheaper than you're going to get it at your pharmacy. Talk to them about how that can help you. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. Maybe the Crave program with the phentermine assistance helps you curb your appetite for better success losing weight. Or the nutritional guidance program, one-on-one counseling, individualized attention. These are all programs that I have used with Slim 180, and I encourage you to check them out for your weight loss goals as well. Mention the Annie Frey Show. When you connect with them, you can find them online at myslim180.com.
Sharpshooter's Indoor Range can accommodate every firearms enthusiast from beginner to experience. Skill levels focusing on safety and fundamentals. Buy a daily pass for just $21 or annual membership with discounts for law enforcement, first responders, or military with proof of valid department ID. Mention the Eat and Shoot combo at the Pit and Grill after you shoot for daily combo deals. It's bang good barbecue. Sharpshooter's Indoor Range. SharpshooterSTL.com. Mention 97.1 and get a one-time use $5 ammunition credit.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Keeping close watch on the border, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Biden is cautiously optimistic about a decrease in border crossings since the end of a pandemic-era health policy on migration.
He was asked by reporters yesterday, how did you think things have gone at the border? The president responded, much better than you all expected, speaking to members of the media. It is true officials have seen a drop since the end of Title 42. The question, is it temporary or is it potentially the new normal? The Border Patrol says in the days leading up to Friday, it saw the highest number of crossings in U.S. history, more than 80,000.
Fox's David Spunt at the White House. The Supreme Court has agreed to decide whether South Carolina's congressional districts need to be redrawn because they discriminate against black voters. The case probably will be argued in the fall and decided in the run-up to the 2024 elections, when all the seats in the closely divided House of Representatives, now under Republican control, will be on the ballots. A congressional committee wants answers on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Interviews of Biden administration officials have been formally requested by the GOP-led Foreign Affairs Committee. Chairman Michael McCaul wants to hear from 5 people, including the former lead of the Afghanistan task force, as they continue to investigate what McCaul calls a chaotic and deadly withdrawal. McCaul says they want to learn more about how and why the withdrawal led to the deaths of 13 service members and thousands of U.S. citizens and Afghan partners being abandoned. President Biden has often blamed former President Trump for a poor plan for leaving the country.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz in Washington. Britain today confirming it will send more air defense missiles and long-range attack drones to Ukraine. That announcement coming as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visit the United Kingdom. America is listening to Fox News.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Cooler temperatures this afternoon, no question about that. 72 for the high. That's a good 15 degrees cooler than the weekend. Partly to mostly cloudy skies with a couple of showers. Tonight, a couple of showers from time to time, lots of clouds, 58. Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Still some showers Tuesday morning, 72. We dry it out for Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for their next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seats are limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement and wondering if you can afford to retire? Or do you worry about surviving the next market crash? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free and protect your nest egg from many more losses and provide more income than most investment options? Would you like to know how linking to the market instead of owning the market is so much safer for your retirement savings? You'll get all the answers and more If you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Water Sweets Soap Company in O'Fallon and in Edwardsville, Illinois. They have customized boxes right now that are the perfect teacher gifts and graduation gifts while you are shopping this May. I received some Water Sweets Soap Company for Mother's Day. I was extremely surprised and excited to get that. And I want you to understand, from any budget, if you're looking to buy gifts for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 teachers, men and women alike, they have affordable individual gifts that you can get each of these teachers. Or if you want to celebrate a graduate or maybe a teacher specifically that really made an impact on your student or your grandchild's life, Water Sweets Soap Company can help you through this process. WaterSweetsSoap.com. When you shop there, you can type in Annie and save 10%. If you go into the Edwardsville or O'Fallon, Illinois locations at Water Sweet Soap Company and mention my name, you're going to get a free gift as well. Shop their soaps. Shop their beard oil. They have soap for men. My husband loves it. He goes to it. That's his go-to for showering, and he's a teacher. He would love to have a Water Sweet soap bar as a teacher appreciation gift. You can find them online and save 10% when you put in the promo code Annie by going to watersweetsoap.com.
Second Amendment Radio is a staple of solid firearm information on 97.1 every weekend. Saturday from 3 to 4 and Sunday from noon to 1. It's Second Amendment Radio and the great outdoors. 97.1 FM Talk.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm inviting you to fire up your grill with great deals at Ruler Foods. Find the Ruler Foods closest to you by going to rulerfoods.com. Kroger, 80% lean ground beef sold in 3-pound rolls, $3.33 a pound. Bar S bacon, 2 for $5. Seedless watermelons or 18-ounce blueberries, $2.97 a pound. Create your outdoor oasis for less at Ruler Foods. 10-inch Boston ferns, $12 while supplies last. Patio furniture, grills, yard decor, and more. Start saving today. rulerfoods.com.
If you need to sell your home to buy a new home, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty on your side, fighting for every dollar for you. Check out thegelmanteam.com. That's thegelmanteam.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
That is why today I'm announcing my support for a new amendment to the U.S. Constitution. That amendment would raise the voting age in this country from 18 to 25, but still tell you that you can vote at 18 if you either do service to this country 6 months in the military or 6 months as a first responder, or else at least pass the same civics test that we make an immigrant pass to actually become a voting citizen in this country.
Well, Vivek Ramaswamy making some waves there and suggesting that you can vote at 25 years old, not 18, unless you do a few things, which includes serve your country. And let me see here. What were the other things? I lost my space in here. Serve your country. Take the same test that those who are trying to become citizens would actually have to pass, and become a first responder. Those are the things that he says should qualify you to be able to vote at 18. It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation. It's certainly a conversation starter. And we were talking in the last segment about, I made the comment that the indoctrination that is taking place in classrooms, specifically in public school classrooms, to kids where adults who have political axes to grind are using captive audiences of young kids, students, sub 18 in most cases, to indoctrinate them into the political whims of that teacher. How incredibly gross that is. How awfully advantageous it is to subject those kids to that kind of a position. And while I was making that conversation and talking about that, we had a comment here on our YouTube. I'm trying to find it so I can read it verbatim. Does the church take advantage of children in the same way, Annie Frey? And I think that that's a really good question. I think that that's something that is good to discuss. Because what I'm saying here is that in the public school system specifically, we have so much evidence that teachers are using the classroom. And we have evidence because these teachers can't shut their mouths about it. They're so proud of it that they put it all over social media. It exists. And for every young, I'm just going to say it, kind of dumb teacher who thinks that the world needs to know about it secretively on TikTok, need I say more? That they are using the opportunity in this classroom to impact these children in this way. For every single one that can't stop blabbing on social media that they're doing it, how many are out there who aren't putting it on social media and are doing the exact same thing? In fact, might have been doing it for a really long time. I remember being in college in the early 2000s and experiencing a lot of this leftist ideology that was presented as part of the curriculum. And I push back on it regularly. And it's always funny to me to run into people who I went to college with and they're like, oh, you were the one who was always arguing with the teacher. And I didn't realize how frequently I was pushing back on a lot of these sentiments. It was 2003. I mean, we were going to war. There was a countdown on Fox News that said, we're going to, if Saddam Hussein doesn't show us the weapons of mass destruction or let us inspect whatever it was in Iraq, or I don't even remember what the details were. If that didn't happen, we were going to war. And we watched the clock tick down to 0. And then some of my closest friends that I've ever had in my life went to boot camp and fought in a war. A war that ended, I guess, with a strange kind of retreat that makes all of those people who fought for that kind of scratch their head and say, what did we just do here? Because we had a clear mission, but it just degraded over the course of time. So in college at that moment in time, there was a lot of politics to be discussed. There was a lot of this side of the issue and that side of the issue to be discussed. It was college. While I never had a single college professor, not one, who presented anything to me with a conservative slant. Never a single one. At best, we had our movie film review, film critic class without politics being ingested into it. But no place was safe. You never knew what was going to happen. And if politics were injected into the conversation, it was always left-leaning. Every single time, batting 1,000. Early in the 2000s. Which was a long time ago compared to where we are right now when it comes to classroom discussions. We have kids in middle school. We have kids in elementary school. We have kids in early childhood classes that are being presented with ideas and discussions on positions on issues that are way, way out of the appropriate age range for where they're being presented. But when a safe space like a teacher and a classroom includes these conversations, these kids are captive audiences and they are in fact being indoctrinated. So the comment from the YouTube live chat says, does the church take advantage of children in the same way? Not even apples to apples. It is so incredibly incomparable to suggest that children who are required to have an education through taxpayer-funded classrooms to take time away from reading, writing, and arithmetic, to be slapped in the face with the political ideologies of the educator in the classroom at the time. It's a roll of the dice. It is, you are just taking a risk in the public school system when you sign them up and you just hope that your child won't draw a teacher who's going to take advantage of those children to teach them something that they're not even telling you. They are specifically in public classrooms right now. Teachers are, if a child says, you know what, my name's not Elizabeth anymore, it's Bert, and I need you to call me he, him, those teachers are told they are not allowed to tell the parents that. And I'm talking about school districts inside the listening area here in St. Louis. This is not some San Francisco, New York City stuff. It's here right now. That's indoctrination. When I take my children to church, that is my decision to do that. It is the biggest priority I have for my kids in my life. And as the woman who birthed them, with the help of my husband, it is my decision, mine, to take them to church, to have them be educated in the thing that I hope will always presuppose everything they do in their life. That's on me. It's my job. It's actually the only thing in my life that matters. The only thing that matters. And it's up to me. When I take them to a church, if you take them to a synagogue, if you take them to a temple, if you take them to Hot Shots because the Chicago Bears are your religion, that's on you as their parent to make that decision for them and to raise them in a way that you believe is what is best for them. The public education system and Randy Weingarten, all those people who are at that level who in an evil way are taking away the responsibilities and the power from the parents and permitting educators in the classroom and requiring educators in the classroom to deliver something that is dishonest to the parents who are raising those children. That's indoctrination. I'm a Christian. If I were to send my kid to a religion that was different than Christianity, to a place of worship so that they could learn about it and understand it, that doesn't mean that they have to believe in it, but it would be a decision that I would make. These decisions are being made for children where their parents are left in the shadows, and it's intentional. And that's the biggest problem that we have with it. Pastor over here, Brad's a youth pastor, and I thought you might have something to say about this.
I do. I have a lot to say with it, and it hooks right on to what you're saying there. We are upfront. Whenever we're at a church, the church is voluntary. The parents attend the church with their kids. Or at the very least, I've talked to the parents, and I met them, and they know what we talk about and what we teach. It's like you said, when you go to school, you send your child to a public school, and you're expecting them to learn English, reading, writing, you're expecting them to learn how to do math, learn some history, and instead they go there and they get told why they're the horrible person because they're white, or why they're a horrible person if they're straight, or why these people need to be uplifted because of their race, or why you can't do well because of that. And that's not what school is for. It's a complete subversion of what is advertised. So they sell you one thing and then they indoctrinate your kid with another. I don't do that as a pastor. As a pastor, I am upfront with the parents, and my job is to partner with the parents. We're working together to help educate their child. That's how that works.
If you had let me ask you this question, Brad, because I don't know if you wanted to say like what kind of Christian church denomination you belong to, but let's just use mine because I've said before I'm Lutheran. If I send my kids into Sunday school, for instance, so it's school, but it's Sunday school, and it's a Lutheran Sunday school, and I get the kids back, and I find out that they are somehow or another, let's be very specific. I am a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod Lutheran, and for anybody who understands denominations, you will know how dramatically not the same thing that is to ELCA. I am not an ELCA Lutheran. Stop it. If I send my kid into that classroom, that Sunday school classroom, and I'm not supervising that, And they get educated in a way that is what the ELCA, Lutheran Church, would say. I would have a problem with that because I'm sending them into this classroom saying, this is the theology that I believe. This is the theology that I want my children to be raised in. And I'm putting them in this classroom for you to teach them the thing that we have agreed upon when we attend this church. When you send them in there and they start teaching something outside of the expectations of the education of that classroom, still a big problem.
It is a huge problem because that is not the agreement that you came to with that organization, be it written or just understood. This is what we're doing. This is what we're presenting. This is what your child will be learning. That upfrontness, that communication, that openness about what it is you're doing is what is so vital. It's what's so important. And my goodness, I would never dream of undermining a parent in as a youth pastor. If my kid tells me they're struggling with something, if a kid tells me that they're struggling with something, the very first person I consult is their parent because we're working together on this. And this whole idea that you've got to separate the kids away from their parent to get your ideology across.
Creepy. That's what groomers do.
That's incredibly creepy. And that's exactly what's happening in public school. And it's really interesting to me that whenever the school choice movement moves around, those are the same people that are wailing and gnashing of teeth because they're like, well, they're taking the kids out of the public schools because they don't have their captive audience any longer.
Yeah. And I've said a lot about teachers and what teachers are willing to do. You see, the libs of TikTok succeeded pretty much based on educators in the classroom. And these are, that was the thing that she always kind of highlighted is the most ironic. All she was doing is taking what they did, put on TikTok, and she put it on Facebook. And she's like, hey, look at this. A lot of times she didn't even weigh in on it. As after the whole thing grew and grew, she would start to weigh in on it a little bit, but it's jaw-dropping to see what a lot of these educators are doing. But I am here to tell you right now that there are so many educators who are trapped in a system that is run by the likes of Randy Weingarten and these other teachers union in partnership, handshaking with these other woke industries. Money is flowing all over the place. There is so much money. I mean, seriously, look into your school district right now. Look into your school district's budgeting and find out how much they have paid for diversity, equity, and inclusion education. Find out what those consultants make. Find out what your taxpayer dollars through the school district is paying people to come into the school district and do in-services for educators and school staffs to make sure that they are fully aware of diversity, equity, inclusion. And then watch as they tell you that if you're a white second grade teacher, you need to check your privilege. And if you're a male, you need to really check your privilege. And if you have parents who have a college degree, like, my gosh, you're the worst thing that's ever existed. Your tax dollars paying for it locally. I'm not talking state tax dollars. I'm not talking federal tax dollars. I'm talking your property tax bill that is going to pay for the education system that you live in, whether you use it or not. It's disgusting. Somebody said on here, in response to what we're discussing, that church is parent-approved indoctrination. Yeah. Yeah. And the parent-approved part is the part that matters. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Title 42 and what has taken place as Title 42 has gone away. Andrew Arthur, a resident fellow in law and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies, you said that he was, where was he at? El Paso?
He was down in El Paso for the past week.
So he's seeing this with his own eyes. So a firsthand report from Andrew Arthur when we come back on the border concern. Vote in the YouTube live chat poll. What's the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, or, white supremacy? All options for you to choose today on the YouTube live chat poll. Back in a minute.
And all I could taste is this moment. And all I can breathe is your light.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
If you'd like to work with a local company that gives back to the community, Window World is the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Mark Cox here from my friends out at Window World. What a great product. A lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You've heard me say that before. And they've been around for over 20 years. They have improved the look and the efficiency of over 70,000 homes in the greater St. Louis area. They have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's hard to get, right? And that's important. They're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Call them for a free estimate. Let them show you why they say simply the best for less. New doors, new windows. With Window World, they're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can go online anytime to windowworld.com.
Energy prices are skyrocketing. Regardless of what you believe is the reasoning for the skyrocketing prices, it doesn't matter. What does matter, it's crushing us. It's taking money off of all of our tables for food, clothing, entertainment. Life is tough. I'm not looking for anything for free, but this is crazy stuff. Now, that being said, do not overspend on so-called high-efficient, energy-efficient, or whatever the terminology, anything efficient. Nothing we make, nothing that we have to offer will combat these insane prices. So if you're in the market and your bills are just extremely high because they're failing, call me. It's one easy number. It's in Missouri and Illinois. There's only one number. Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600. Bart Inman, 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com.
Thinking of selling your house, but you don't want to deal with repairs, cleaning, realtors, photos, and showings? With Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com, you don't have to do any repairs or pay any commissions. Call 314-782-8000, and Chris will give you a fair cash offer without any inspections, showings, or other headaches. That's 314-782-8000. At Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, beautiful houses, fixer-uppers, in any condition, as is. Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com provides you the easiest sell possible and will assist you in every step of the way. If you want to sell and have any questions, please call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000 and get the offer you've been waiting for.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to $7,500 on a new hybrid HVAC system and save an additional 20% when bundled with attic insulation. This is a limited time offer. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Steve Cortez is with me.
I believe Ron DeSantis is by far the best option for us to get an electable, very conservative, very capable leader into the Oval Office.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Gloria, I smell it on your breath. Gloria, booze and peppermint. Gloria, no one said enough is enough.
Do you have numbers on how many have been released without a mandated court date?
So we released a number because of the surge that we experienced before Title 42 came to an end. Now, with the 50% drop in the number of encounters at our southern border, we are executing our consequence regime exactly as planned.
Slow clap for Mayorkas. 50% drop. in the number of encounters at the border. This is fantastic news, everybody. I am incredibly excited to report what Secretary Mayorkas says, and to report on that 50% drop of number of encounters at the border. Somebody who's been in El Paso for the last week who can give us that firsthand perspective. Andrew Arthur, resident fellow in law and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies, is probably wondering right now if I'm being serious. Andrew, thank you for being here with us today. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Annie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's really great news from Mayorkas there. Is it true?
It requires a lot more explanation than the secretary is offering, but let me just tell you, no, it's not true.
So you've been there in El Paso for some time now. What have we experienced on our southern border? What do Americans need to know the truth about what's taking place?
Yeah, I mean, there are tens of thousands of migrants, non-Mexican migrants, over on the Mexican side of the river waiting to cross into the United States. A significant number of them are in Juarez, the city right across from El Paso. A significant number of them are down in Matamoros in the Rio Grande Valley on the other side of the border from McAllen and Brownsville, Texas. And they are pushing to get into the United States. A couple important things happened, none of which had to do with Secretary Mayorkas. One of which was that Texas Governor Greg Abbott rushed state troopers and National Guardsmen down to the Rio Grande, down to the border between Texas and Mexico, and had them stand in a line along that border to dissuade migrants from coming across. They erected concertina wire along miles and miles of the border to push migrants away from El Paso, where I was, very, city of 800,000 plus people, down the river to where it would be much easier for Border Patrol to apprehend them. Now, those people wanted to cross right into El Paso. They couldn't do that. Not thanks to the Border Patrol. They had nothing but respect for the Border Patrol. They're just overwhelmed. But largely thanks to the efforts of Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And so all of those people were being pushed down to what's known as Gate 42, southwest of the city of El Paso. It's a gate along the border. There, DHS was pulling aside the concertina wire so that it could move migrants under darkness and secrecy onto buses that it then took off to a massive compound that it's erected. It's probably 10,000 acres. Southeast of El Paso, where it will process them and release most of them into the United States. Now, how exactly the Biden administration is treating those people that got on the buses, I don't know. But by any reasonable objective metric, they're illegal migrants. They should be removed from the United States. They should be detained. Neither of those things is happening.
We're speaking here with Andrew Arthur. He's a resident fellow in law and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies, also a former immigration judge. I want to tap into that a little bit because when we saw that the Biden administration was sending troops down, it wasn't to stop people from coming in. It was to get them into the country faster. At least that was my understanding of it. What is the real need at the southern border from a manpower standpoint in order to affect essentially the laws that we do have in place and to secure what isn't secure at this point in time?
Well, it's interesting that you asked the question that way, Annie. Manpower is definitely needed. We don't have enough Border Patrol troops. We have about 19,000, or Border Patrol agents. We have about 19,000 agents down there, and the border is 1,954 miles long. So we just don't have enough. But what we really need are better policies. What we really need is more detention space. Right now, the Biden administration has 34,000 daily detention beds, and it has that number because it actually asked for 25,000 detention beds, and Congress thought it would be unseemly to cut it that much. We're having a border crisis, and so it left it at 34,000. But the administration turned around in its FY 2024 budget, once again said 25,000 is all we need to deal with the border. By law, everybody who enters the United States illegally is supposed to be detained, not detained at the point at which they're caught. They're supposed to be detained until they're either granted asylum, not applied, granted asylum, or removed. The Biden administration hasn't been doing that. And so it's that release policy that's really driving all of this. If those individuals were detained, numbers would drop down below 1,000 a day, and we wouldn't have a problem.
We're speaking with Andrew Arthur of the Center for Immigration Studies. I think that the policies surrounding our border security, the removal of Title 42, the potential removal of Title 42, has a lot of Americans scratching their heads because it seems as though there are multiple fronts that are put into place to secure the border, to keep the border semi-open. What policies are in place right now that maybe aren't being put into effect that wouldn't require congressional action or the president to sign some sort of bipartisan bill? Do we have those policies and laws in place to secure the border?
Yeah, one of the things that you'll hear the Biden administration talk about is that immigration is broken. It's been broken for decades. Well, it seemed to work pretty well under President Trump, especially in the latter part of 2019, more or less up until January 20th, 2021. The number of migrants entering the United States dropped even before Title 42 went into place. When President Trump used his authority under the Immigration and Nationality Act, which for some reason the administration now calls Title 8 like it's something novel, but to send migrants who entered the United States illegally back to Mexico to wait for their removal hearings. That was a policy called Remain in Mexico. And it was amazingly effective. In fact, in October 2019, DHS said that policy was indispensable to border security. And yet one of President Biden's first acts was to suspend the program, and then his Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, has attempted twice in the face of legal challenges by the state of Texas to end Remain in Mexico. So, yeah, I mean, policy-wise, the administration has everything it needs. It just doesn't have the will, but more importantly, it doesn't have the inclination to actually use the laws that Congress has given it. What it really wants to do is to, amnesty large numbers of people. That's why when you hear the president talk about, I sent a bill to Congress on my first day to fix this problem. No. What that bill would have done would have been to have amnestied 11.35 million people, basically setting the clock, completely back and, allowing the administration to do whatever it wanted. That would have nothing, that would not have any impact whatsoever on the border, except to make more people want to get in illegally.
Andrew Arthur with the Center for Immigration Studies talking to us right now. I mean, we've seen presidents, I can think of at least 3 in a row, who have made executive action to affect what's going on the southern border. And so it kind of goes ping-pongs back and forth. If somebody puts something into action, someone can kind of take it out of action once again with the stroke of the pen and the phone or whatever it was that President Obama said. Is this going to be a major issue for the presidential election going forward? Because most issues that are out there, there's a red side and there's a blue side. I'm wondering if you think that there's a bipartisan side to this southern border issue.
And, it's important to, I don't like to confess how old I am, but, I've served, in the federal government since George H.W. Bush, through the first Bush administration, Clinton, second Bush administration, Obama. Each one of them more or less had the same border policy. We want to deter migrants from entering the United States illegally. We don't want them to suffer. We don't want the kids to suffer on the trip to the United States. And we don't want the United States overwhelmed with, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's 2 million plus right now, people who have entered illegally. So this was never a bipartisan issue until the Biden administration, or a partisan issue until the Biden administration made it a partisan issue. I don't think we're going to see things ping pong back and forth. I anticipate that, when you have any other responsible Democratic administration, certainly any Republican administration, you'll see them return to the same policy that's been, followed ever since Franklin D. Roosevelt, and that is deterrence at the southwest border. Right now, the Biden administration has no inclination, intention whatsoever to deter anybody from entering the United States illegally.
Andrew Arthur, resident fellow in law and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies. Thank you for your time today. The last question that I have for you is the direction that this issue on the southern border is taking right now. Is it going to get worse before it gets better? Is there anything in place right now that makes you think that it is going to get better?
So what the Biden administration is going to do is what it's doing right now. It's hiding the scope of the disaster by moving people away from the border, and, sending them to processing centers and, sending them out throughout the United States. As long as Joe Biden is president, up to 100,000 people per month are going to be released into the country. Once the Biden administration goes away, in 2 years or 6 years, everything down there will get much better.
Well, we appreciate your expertise and your viewpoint here on the Annie Frey Show, and we look forward to speaking to you again. This issue will continue to be one to discuss, I'm sure, for weeks and months ahead. Thank you, Andrew Arthur. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Of course. Bye-bye. Resident fellow in law and policy for the Center for Immigration Studies, a former immigration judge as well. You can find out more about the Center for Immigration Studies at CIS.org. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's discuss a little bit about that YouTube live chat poll, which is up right now. What's the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Is it open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? Your vote right now on the Annie Frey YouTube channel, and our live broadcast is up there, as it is each and every day. In the live chat portion is the poll. You go vote, leave a comment if you so choose. Maybe, Hannah, we can feature some of those comments when we come back. Got them starred and ready to go? Sounds good. Lots more Annie Frey Show around the corner. Don't go away.
No one said enough is enough.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Gloria, they found you on the floor. Gloria, my hand was tied to yours. Gloria.
Shopping for flooring, go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They have locations across St. Louis. They've been in St. Louis for 3 decades, family owned and operated, there to make sure that your flooring shopping experience is one where you feel comfortable, educated, and confident in your flooring purchase. Working with people who do flooring, that's their job. That's the top, the bottom, the left, and the right of it. Flooring is what they do. They can help guide you through the purchase to make sure that your budget is respected, to make sure that your goal, your aesthetic that you're trying to achieve is you can arrive at that, and you do so in a pleasant way that'll have you talking about Michael's Flooring Outlet to your friends and family in the future. When people come over to your home and they see your new floors, they're going to say, where'd you get it? You're going to be beaming about your experience working with Michael's Flooring Outlet. They do residential and commercial projects as well. So if you're shopping for flooring, for hardwood, for carpeting, for that Smart Strand Mohawk silk line, it's all at Michael's Flooring Outlet. Reach out to them online. You can check them out at igotfloored.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Join Mosby Building Arts every Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1 FM. Rich Orse and guests give insider tips about renovations, design, construction, exteriors, and more. Tune in to Right at Home with Rich on Saturdays or catch the podcast online.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AAMCO.
Annie just mentioned it. We're going to be talking about the YouTube live chat poll. What is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, white supremacy. Get your vote in right now and be a part of that conversation coming up next. China. You turn your mic on to say it. You do it better than me. No, that's fine. If you can hear Annie, she just keeps saying China over and over and over in a certain accent that reminds me of Donald Trump. A Trumpian accent. That's what I'm saying. China. Time check 1:44. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Not just right and left, right and wrong. We're discussing it every day on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I'll be your light, your match, your burning sun. I'll be the bright and black that's making you run, and we'll feel alright. We'll feel alright, 'cause we'll work it out. Yeah, we'll work it out. Now we're doing this. If you never
Well, Congress needs to do both things here. We need to raise the debt ceiling so that we avoid a default that could throw millions of Americans out of work. And of course, we need to do the work of deciding on an ongoing forward budget. Those are both core congressional obligations. The Republicans' attempt here to force us to do them together, I think, is really just a leverage game. It's a hostage game, trying to take our economy hostage for our past spending, the debt ceiling, and trying to use it as leverage to get what they want that they don't necessarily have the support, forget of Washington, of the American people for.
We need to take our country hostage. The Republicans are taking the country hostage for our past spending. That's on Congress. All of them. Every one of them that was a part of passing massive spending bills of money that they didn't have and we're going to have to borrow, not from you, but from your grandkids. Oh, it's frustrating. It's really debilitating for a country that needs to be strong and confident in their future. How do you do that when you don't understand how to even spend a dollar? Or not spend a dollar, I should say. The YouTube live chat poll today, what is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Is it open borders? China?
Hold for applause.
Like Trump says it. Reckless spending or white supremacy. I'm going to get Ryan and Brad's thoughts on this, and then we'll get to Hannah, who's going to read some of your comments so far. Brad, what do you think?
I think it's China.
What?
China. I think it's China.
Hold.
All right. Okay. China's mission is to become the superpower in the world. That's their mission. And so if you want a communist country, one that runs things the way they run things, that disappears people to be the dominant superpower in the world, that's not just a threat to the United States. That's a threat to everyone. But the United States being the dominant superpower in the world right now, that is a direct threat at us. They have to come at us if they want to become that superpower. And they're building a blue water navy. They're making eyes at Taiwan. They want Taiwan. J.J. Carafano's been on here a lot talking about how that's the first island in the island chain that would basically cut off Southeast Asia from the rest of the world and give China total and utter control over that. China is the biggest threat.
Ryan?
Reckless spending. And a close second would be open borders. So I would say reckless spending simply because so many other problems can be solved by good fiscal policy with where we are right now. We are the strongest nation in the world, not just because we're big and we have a big military, but because we can economically bully people into doing pretty much anything we want. Trump knew that. He used it to his advantage. He was able to bring a lot of this stuff under thumb. There were no new wars. He did it all economically. So when we recklessly spend and we don't have control over it, we are hurting our own national security as much as anything else.
Hannah, you want to either you can tell us what you think, or you can just go to some listeners, whichever you prefer.
I voted that
open borders is the biggest threat. I think that affects our safety. I think it affects our economy. That to me was my choice. We're getting a ton of comments though from listeners. Keep them coming in. Grant from YouTube said, I said open borders because Joe Biden wasn't one of the choices. Michael Thomas says that he thinks Joe Biden is the biggest threat. We have so many comments saying that wasn't an option, people. Jennifer Johnson says, I voted spending because it puts us at the mercy of China. Patrick says, China's using the southern border to infiltrate more, but ultimately China scares me more than the border in the long term. Bucky from YouTube says, I picked China, but the most dangerous threat is the Joe Biden administration. Jackie S. said, I voted reckless spending, but it was hard to choose with the open border and China on the list. Sheepdog says the border is a very pressing concern, but China, quote, a nuclear power, is the most dangerous. Larry says that he voted reckless spending, but the real threat to our homeland is Joe Biden. I can't tell you how many comments here say Joe Biden. I'm really trying not even to pick those, but it seems like that is a ton of what we're getting. A lot of people are saying it's also hard to answer this question. I agree. Robert Shaw says, Hannah, the biggest threat to America is Biden and the group running his agenda. Oh, my goodness. Doug says that he voted white supremacy, but not for Biden's reasons. His fake claims are destroying any sense of unity. I then asked Doug to share what his reasons are, but he didn't have anything to say back. Jimmy said that he voted the border, but he thinks that Democrats are the biggest threat. JS from our YouTube channel said the most dangerous threat to our homeland is biased media, whether it's right or the left. Their job is to report fact, not opinion, as disguised as fact. Art says that his most dangerous threat, or that the most dangerous threat to our homeland is climate change.
Not an option.
That was also
not an option.
That was also
nope, didn't make top 4. Sorry.
Not
vote again.
An option. Once again, the YouTube poll's asking, what is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? People.
It's no wonder that. I would feel so bad for my kids if they were like, "But Mom, we need to change the weather." I'd be like, "Sorry, kid, you're SOL." What's that mean? Sit down. Can have a conversation.
Let's see. We still have more. KK said, I would say China, but the open border is out of control by letting in terrorists from all over the world. Remember, these people have a lot of patience. Jaded said that they voted open borders. Reckless spending is under open borders. They don't want us to know exactly how much it is costing us. And JS commented that the first 3 options are intertwined. I will say the options again because it seems like a lot of people are just voting whatever. So the options are open borders, China, reckless spending, and white supremacy. You can visit the Annie Frey Show YouTube page and vote on our poll. I will give you those results at 2:45.
Here's the president over the weekend.
To choose love over hate, unity over disunity, progress over retreat, to stand up against the poison of white supremacy as I did my inaugural address to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. And I'm not saying this because I'm of the black HBCU.
Still a liar. So it begs the question, do we have any Patriot Front sound here?
No, I don't have any Patriot Front sound.
Well, we need to talk about it. It's a big deal.
That's a big deal. How many guys were there?
I don't know anything about it. These aren't my people.
We can't even tell if they're guys. They might be mannequins. They're just wrapped up in mummy cloth and walking around.
So the president says at an HBCU, but not because they're black people. He
made it clear.
It's so pandering. It's so bad. My mind's going. I'm going to make 70 points right now, but I need to stick on the path. Stay focused.
Okay.
The president is saying that white supremacy. Did I mishear this? He's
address to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
To his credit, he does say it fairly often.
Yeah,
So he didn't just say it there.
I don't. The fact that he might actually believe the crap he's saying doesn't make me feel better about it. So he says this, and then, from what I understand, the Patriot Front, which is an organization I have never heard of in my life, who looks like they came from a Walmart because they're all wearing khakis and blue shirts, from what I understand. Walmart. The FBI, it's hard to tell the difference. So you see these people, and they're marching in Washington, D.C., is that right?
Yes.
Where did they march to and from?
I don't know.
We think maybe from the sewer.
Wait, where like
Ninja Turtles.
I was just going to say, where's Shredder?
We don't know where they come from.
Man.
They put on these swaddling cloths, and then they disappear.
And they lie in a manger?
I thought they always fell out of the back of a U-Haul truck and then started marching.
I don't know.
Let's just talk for a second here, because we only have a few seconds. We can continue this in the next hour. When you have this really creepy march of people where they're all matched, they all look like they just came out of FBI training. I don't know if any of them are friends. I don't know if all of them are friends. I don't know, and I don't honestly care, because they're people doing a thing. They don't belong to me. I don't know these people. I'm looking up, I'm reading their manifesto right now.
Oh.
When I search them on Google, I just scroll to the bottom of the Google search page to find their actual website. I have a feeling that Google is doing something there. So the Southern Poverty Law Center, they came up before the actual thing that I Googled, Patriot Front, came up. So that is what it is. That's not necessarily inherently a bad thing. If the Patriot Front were some sort of Nazi organization, I wouldn't want them necessarily to get priority. But who gets to make that decision? And do I get to look at Google Patriot Front and have Patriot Front's website pop up and go, wow, these people are Nazi a-holes, and I'm glad I know about them now? No, Google says, here are the approved places that you can read about this. And if you want to keep digging, eventually you'll come across it. I was searching through their manifesto, and I did a find search for white. They don't have the word white in their manifesto, or supremacy, or supreme, or there is race in there, but it really refers more of a human race 3 times. I haven't read it all. I don't know anything about them. Maybe they are the second coming of Hitler. I don't know about the Patriot Front, because I'm here to tell you that just because white people march doesn't mean that I, as a white person, automatically subscribe to what white marchers do. You know how I know this? Because the people who march in these super leftist things the most are very, very angry, sad white people. Nobody attributes that to me.
I don't know. These people are supposed to represent us.
I'm an angry white woman right now. I'm a leftist. I need a break. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Hey, boss, what's got you so down today?
We just lost another customer to Diamonds Direct. Guy's been with us for years. Went over there and, well, now he's in love with those people. I don't know what they do.
Want me to go secret shop Diamonds Direct again, sir?
Remind me what we learned the last time you did that.
Well, they're really good, sir. They got 10 times the selection we have. They have those top designers that we're not allowed to carry. They're telling people the inside secrets on how to buy diamonds. They give free service on stuff like cleaning and sizing, the things you charge extra for. And they're nice people. Everybody's smiling over there.
Okay, stop. I know. It's impossible to compete with Diamonds Direct. I mean, even my accountant just upgraded his wife's engagement ring there and got her a 3-carat.
Wait a minute. I thought your brother was your accountant.
He is.
Are you getting all you deserve from your jeweler? You might be surprised. Maybe it's time to get the value, the selection, the quality, the education, and the service you deserve at Diamonds Direct. Get details, showroom hours, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
You've heard me talk about Fountains Family Dentistry many times. I usually just highlight the fact that they are easy to get to no matter which side of the river that you're on. Or I talk about their sleep medicine, which is not in fact medicine. It's just a mouth guard that helps you sleep at night if you have sleep apnea, which so many people do and don't even know they have it. But they also do just general dentistry, dental implants, clear braces, cosmetic dentistry. They do everything right there in-house because they have a great team. So in the rare instance that they would have to refer you, you're going to be surprised because they do everything right there. Make them your home, Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois, and visit them online. Easy to make an appointment right there if you're on your phone. It just says make an appointment. First thing you'd get right at the homepage there. Or you can click through all their different services, see the team right there in their picture. They're all very, very friendly, and they will work with you whether you have insurance or not. So give them a visit online, FountainsFamilyDentistry.com. They're located in Fairview Heights, Illinois. Easy to get to from either side of the river, FountainsFamilyDentistry.com.
Hey, business owners, are you feeling boxed in by the pressures of running your business, remote workforces, HR compliance, retaining top talent, and the list goes on? Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work, offering your employees competitive benefit options while lightening your HR load, so your employees and your business are set up for success. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Full-service HR, employee benefits, HR technology. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
No major surge after the end of Title 42. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Border Patrol sources tell Fox News migrant encounters have plunged.
Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas says the numbers have dropped 50%. And while migrant encounters might have dropped, there are still thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of migrants who just crossed into the United States and are now basically in limbo. Overwhelming resources in border towns like El Paso, where I'm standing, and also major cities like New York. Here on the ground, migrants tell me point blank they're starving. They don't have a dollar or working papers to earn money to get to their next location here in the United States.
Fox's Matt Finn in El Paso, Texas. Virginia Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly says 2 of his staffers were attacked this morning at his district office. Connolly tweeting that an individual entered his district office armed with a baseball bat and asked for the congressman before attacking his workers. The 2 staffers were hospitalized for treatment of injuries and are expected to recover. The congressman says Fairfax, Virginia police took the suspect into custody. Turkey's presidential election heads to a runoff.
It's been confirmed neither the 20-year incumbent Recep Tayyip Erdogan nor his main challenger Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu have managed to get over 50% of the vote. Now they'll go head-to-head in 2 weeks' time. President Erdogan finished ahead in this round of voting. That's despite rampant inflation and his government's criticised response to February's earthquake. Kılıçdaroğlu wants a closer relationship with the United States and Europe. Turkey has NATO's second largest population and second biggest military.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Britain today, where they announced they had sent Ukraine Storm Shadow cruise missiles, which have a range of more than 150 miles. America is listening to Fox News.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Cooler temperatures this afternoon, no question about that. 72 for the high. That's a good 15 degrees cooler than the weekend. Partly to mostly cloudy skies with a couple of showers. Tonight, a couple of showers from time to time, lots of clouds, 58. Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Still some showers Tuesday morning, 72. We dry it out for Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It struck me over the weekend as I was eating some Andrea's barbecue sauce on some pork tenderloin that this is not something that everybody knows about yet. So if you haven't tried Andrea's barbecue sauce, I've seen it in Schnucks, Deerbergs. I'm sure you can pick it up online, Andreas.com. And you should. Brad and I have talked about how good it is, even off air. It is really, really fantastic. But if you haven't ever tried their steak sauce, that's what made them famous. Since 1978, Andrea's Steakhouse has made Andrea's steak sauce, and it has just gone all over the world. It's one of those things that maybe if you grew up with it or you've had it for a long time in St. Louis, you don't know how cool it is to have it in other parts of the country and world. It's kind of a trendy thing that if you know about it, it's cool because a lot of people don't outside of St. Louis. The White House does. I've mentioned that before. So ever since the mid-'80s, they've had the White House chef gets a case of that. It's just a very, very unique sauce. And all their sauces are. Their salad dressing, their barbecue sauce, and their steak sauce. Pick them all up at Andreas.com and at area grocery stores like Schnucks and Deerbergs. You won't be disappointed. They're fantastic. They're going to make whatever you're eating better. Andreas.com.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Need a break from the sound bites and the talking heads? Do you want information you can actually use? Information that'll change your life for the better? Then listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy Monday. Good news. Monday is almost over. It's 2:07 on a Monday afternoon. And you guys have a good Mother's Day? Mine was good. What about you? Anybody do anything fun?
I got to see my mom. We went out to eat with her and had a good time with her.
Yeah, mom and my wife, of course, who's a mom, got to celebrate both of them. Didn't get to see my grandma, which is unfortunate, but
what about you?
Good Mother's Day. Celebrated my mom. Hope to celebrate her every day.
Yes, of course. Well, we've talked throughout the course of the show about the YouTube live chat poll. What's the most dangerous threat to our homeland? The president said this weekend that the biggest terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. My question to you is open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? On the Annie Frey YouTube channel, you can go there and you can vote and leave a comment as to why you believe it is whatever you think it is. I just looked on YouTube because I was going to see what kind of engagement that we have gotten over the weekend. And it says, hooray, it's your channel's birthday. I didn't know that.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Us.
Happy birthday, me.
YouTube. I also got asked, this is going to be interesting. I got asked on YouTube to fill out a survey to see if I'd be willing to take an in-person kind of a focus group. And I absolutely said yes. And it's supposed to be 2 hours.
Wow. Whoa. You get paid?
I don't know.
They better pay you for 2 hours.
I don't know.
Why are you talking like that?
Yeah. I'm going to have you sit in and be my like translator.
Okay.
But I wonder moving forward with as many different things that are happening in social media right now. Twitter, how many Twitter copycats? Twitter. Does Parler still exist?
Yes. I think it just got bought, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer it's going to exist, though.
Why?
I thought I heard that they were getting shut down.
I just looked at Parler.com and it's unavailable. So I wonder if that's the server, because what would happen was the Amazon web servers said, no, we won't sustain your website. Parler.com doesn't work. Truth Social.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything different between Truth Social and Twitter?
The amount of users.
Uh-huh.
Not really.
Is there, I mean, do you use it?
I do have it. I don't use it. The hardest thing for me is that you have to call your posts truths instead of tweets.
Yeah. Did you truth anything today?
Yeah, it's just a little awkward.
Can you just go on? This sounds like something you would do. Just go on there and say blatant lies.
Well, a lot of what I do is sarcastic. So it's hard to say that it's truth. It's just maybe it's truth presented in a different form.
What?
Maybe it's your truth. Ryan.
It's my truth.
Which is the opposite of what it should be. Truth
exists outside of us.
And then there's Frank speech, which I never heard of until Ryan just wouldn't stop talking about it.
I can't stop talking about Frank speech and Gab.
Mike Lindell is maybe the weirdest political phenomenon that exists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand why the Trump campaign is so willing to be so closely associated with what Mike Lindell does. There are many things that political campaigns might agree with, have no problem with, but they say, you know what? You do your thing over here. We're going to do our thing over there. But Mike Lindell is the like sideline reporter for every Trump event that exists. You've seen it in action.
Oh, yeah. I've seen him. Yeah. In person, like 4 or 5 feet away from me.
I think I know the secret. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It's in the mustache. It's like Samson.
No, it is not. The commercial where he is standing in those people's medicine cabinet, that's a terrifying situation.
Do you think about it every time you go to the bathroom?
Again, you've now been in my bathroom. And when I think about these people, they're like, oh, he's back. It's like, that is not the words that would come out of my mouth. Should I open a medicine cabinet and there's Mike Lindell like, hi, guys, how's your pillow? It doesn't.
If I open that medicine cabinet and I see anybody standing there, Mike Lindell or anybody else, I'm saying Pennywise 3 times.
You don't want to manifest.
Or Candyman. It's
but
Candyman.
Ryan, when you were laying,
Mary.
What's your
doesn't matter.
Evil white
I'm going to say 3 words 3 times.
I'm going to say 3 words. I'm going to say 1 word 3 times.
Real question though, Ryan. When you were laying on the bathroom floor in pain, would you have appreciated a Mike Lindell opening the thing and getting you help?
And yes, I would have appreciated anything. I don't care who it was.
Slides a pillow under your head. Let me dial 911 for you.
Yeah.
My 911.
Real though. Real on the real. Why Mike Lindell?
I think he's just supported conservative causes for a long time. I think that's all it is. There's not much more to it.
I was so confused at the Trump rally when I saw Mike Lindell.
You're like, hey, Secret Service, stay away from me.
Yeah,
Go get him.
I'm like, what's going on? I didn't understand his purpose. I didn't even really I didn't know who he was. I was shocked to hear that he was involved in politics. I thought he was just like
and pillows.
I thought he was just
weird Venn diagram.
like someone they brought in to entertain the crowd or something. I just was confused. I was like, oh, wow. People like really subscribe to what he's saying? Okay. Next.
It's not, I don't even know all the claims that Mike Lindell has made. Ryan, are you a big fan?
I know. I've studied. Like I watched his movie and all the stuff.
He has a movie?
Oh yeah, he has all kinds of like. I don't want to say they're documentary style, but they kind of are him talking. They're just kind of him talking with people.
I don't care if I agree with every single thing you're saying. I don't love two things being put in advertisements to sell you things: Jesus and overt patriotism. That involves people who serve our country. I just don't like it. And I have to watch, how I do things here because I have sponsors. I have people who I endorse, people who are incredibly connected to great causes, people who I know are great people of faith, and not just Christian faith, just great people of faith. And to me, there are just some things that should supersede the sell. That doesn't mean that if those people walk that faith walk or that if that's the life that they walk, that's okay. But the selling point shouldn't be, I need your support and you need to support me, so I'm selling these things. And then you buy those things to support. I mean, I don't know. If it works for him and it's working for him, okay. I just don't get the fact that this guy has frank speech. Like the line of products, it kind of blows my mind.
I just had this conversation yesterday at Mother's Day, since we started talking about that. My brother, and he's not the only one this has happened to, but without getting into too much detail, contractors who have Jesus fish or crosses in their logo, that automatically sends a message to me that you're trying to shortcut me to tell me I'm a Christian, you should trust me.
But I think that is... I think that is something that is generational. I think that people in our like boomers, I think that people started doing that with boomers in an honest way.
That's very possible.
I don't think that because you have the Jesus fish on your plumbing truck that you're not subscribing to that way of life and that culture. But I am not taking it at face value.
No, that's my point.
Yes.
Is that when that happens, it automatically tells me you're trying to tell me something about yourself. It could be totally accurate. You could have a ton of integrity. The problem is the stories that you hear are always about people who don't. And the minute that you put that in your logo and then you do a terrible job, guess what the story is going to be told? It's going to be told about how not only the job was terrible, but that, and they have a cross in their logo. Mm-hmm. That's always a part of it.
It's just interesting to me. We were talking about Mike Lindell, and I don't remember him being so overtly political. I mean, yeah, he advertised on Fox News, but wasn't so overtly political until Donald Trump launched his campaign, and that was kind of Mike Lindell's foray into politics. Mm-hmm. Before that, he was just selling pillows.
On conservative outlets, which is fine.
Yeah, and he, had a story or a testimony to go along with it, his checkered past and how Jesus saved him, and now he's the CEO of a pillow company that hires convicts to make the pillows.
To each their own, and Mike Lindell's story about where he's come from and the success that he's had. And I think that in many cases, the cancel culture that has reached out to him, I understand the process, like how we got from point A to point B, but it just doesn't work on me as a consumer. Because if am I listening to Mike Lindell as a political commentator, or am I in need of a pillow or a robe or slippers? And I've purchased things as gifts from My Pillow. It was because I knew the people I was giving it to would get a huge kick out of having something like that. It wasn't because I wanted to get them the best XYZ round. And that's also to say that I don't know that maybe what I gave them was the best XYZ round. I just think it's very strange. Going back to the original conversation about all these social media platforms that are out there right now, and the fact that Mike Lindell has his own And it's just such a narrow window of passionate people who politically, on political opinions, I intersect with probably many of their political opinions, and there are certainly going to be ones that I would divert from. The next, how many months is it? Let's see, this is May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We are 18 months from the election. And we have to saturate news and information with as many different, in my opinion, places where all of this stuff is coming from in order to dilute the whole. Because in the past, probably, I don't know, maybe in the 90s, maybe the 2000s to an extent, there was a small portion of outlets where you would get your news from, and then you'd kind of take it with a grain of salt. And if you were watching Fox News, you knew you were getting something that might be a little on the whole right of center. If you were watching CNN, it was going to be on the whole left of center. But it's much further now. Like you can't, even if you're not talking about like the emotions and feelings behind the why you believe what you believe, there's very little intersection in any type of policy solution on the right and on the left. There's very little that you could talk to each other about and go, well, we agree on that. It's so separate, which is why I think about Twitter and I think about Facebook. To me is, I struggle with Facebook. I find myself going, well, I guess I should check Facebook. And I was a high Facebook user at some point. Instagram is certainly big, but not really for me. But I look at these different platforms and I include YouTube in it and Rumble as an up-and-comer. I think Rumble is getting big enough that YouTube has to go, well, we probably have to think about something here. We are not the only people in the game anymore. Rumble is a blip, but there is a blip. Mm-hmm. That's good. If there is a reckoning among platforms on how we consume information, it is, to me, the most impactful thing that can happen to our voting public as a whole, is how information gets out there and gets shared. Because people will, if there aren't, the wizards behind the curtains pulling the levers and pushing the buttons to say, we need to push this out, and nope, if it's from this platform, we need to hold this back, or we can't allow people to talk about these subjects, but we're going to amplify it and distribute it on a greater level when they talk about these issues. Having that sort of fairness, equity, and a large amount of outlets, like which we found out today right before the interview with Joe Concha, is with The Messenger now, which is a brand new outlet. And on the surface, looking at it, I really like the way it looks. It looks very news-centered. Mm-hmm. I think that to me is the thing that needs to be amplified the most to give us the best chance of actually solving problems in 2024. Otherwise, the cult of personality on both sides of the aisle will win, and we will lose again. Let's talk about the Trump-DeSantis stuff when we come back. You guys want to discuss that from the weekend?
Yeah, from Iowa. Definitely.
Let's discuss in just a minute your vote on the YouTube live chat poll. What's the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Is it open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? Give us your vote. Leave a comment on the Annie Frey YouTube channel and join us on our YouTube for what apparently is our birthday. I just discovered that 10 minutes ago. Yay. Yay, YouTube. Thanks. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
So thediamondshop.net is the website. You can shop. If you didn't go to the Diamond Shop for Mother's Day, but you're still thinking about something nice for an anniversary or for maybe Father's Day coming up, the Diamond Shop is a great destination for this kind of a purchase. They have a wide selection of engagement and wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches. I have a strand of pearls that I got from my husband for an anniversary and a birthday gift a few years ago, and I cherish them, and I will pass those down to my daughter someday, hopefully a long time from now. These are the type of things that when you invest in something from the Diamond Shop, these are timeless pieces that are beautiful. Buying jewelry is about trusting the person you're buying it from, and the Diamond Shop is there to make that an incredibly trustworthy process. I speak from experience, so would my husband. Believing that they have the knowledge and experience to guide you through the purchase is incredibly important, and at the Diamond Shop, they absolutely do. They've been serving St. Louis since 1910. You can find the Diamond Shop in Clayton, and you can become a VIP by signing up online at thediamondshop.net.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field, a grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, you can stream the team all summer long in your backyard, at the beach, or wherever you're listening.
And it's a gunner! An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Underlaw, we're looking for brave clients who have been injured and are ready to stand beside us in our fight to improve the safety of our community.
Call Underlaw Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9 million.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
Over 90,000 satisfied customers since 1929. Frederick Roofing, 314-645-2000.
St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki created Neovitin 15 years ago to help support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Since then, Neovitin has helped thousands of people support their daily nutrition with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend. If you're ready to join many St. Louisans in supporting their nutrition, give Neovitin a try. You can find Neovitin at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Adam, man, your aunt parties are the best. I mean, you always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Warmer days are coming. Time to schedule your annual AC system check for as little as $15 a month. For any residential or commercial HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Passenger side, I slide on in, vinyl seats off from the heat of the sun. Chewing on a Slim Jim, can't stop thinking about him. Yeah, 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 he's the one. Yeah, 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 he's the one.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. We appreciate you being here with us. We're kind of in shot of 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. I've got it up there on the YouTube live stream right now, 5,628. Ryan?
Yes, Annie.
Anything exciting you want to do at 6,000 subscribers? Last time we said this at about this time, and we turned about 70 subscribers around just like that.
Here's what I'll do. If we get to 6,000 by the end of the show.
Don't say anything that I'm going to regret.
I will wear a full green screen suit, and you can make me a second Annie on the stream.
I don't want that.
Or a second Hannah.
Everybody's unsubscribing now. It's so sad. So we're close. We've got 5,628, so we're getting there. Would love to get to 10,000 at some point. And we appreciate each and every one of the 5,600 plus that have already subscribed to us. We're grateful for it. The YouTube live chat poll today on the live stream that's on our YouTube channel. What is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? Any of these issues are big issues. And facing whomever becomes president in November of 2024, you'll have to address all of these things. Maybe it will be President Biden for his second term. Can you imagine for a minute him serving a whole second term?
No. There's no way. There's no way.
It's like Brett Maga was on with us last Friday, or was it Thursday? Maybe Thursday, and we had a conversation earlier in the week, and I was like, "Hey, who's your pick?" And he's like, "DeSantis," and he goes, "Biden's gonna die." And I was like, "Whoa!" And it occurs to me that there are people out there who don't do what we do for a living who absolutely think that, and President Biden does not present himself as if he's in a good cognitive place.
No,
it just isn't.
No, the dude turns around and shakes hands or tries to shake hands with people that aren't there. He needs, I said this to Ryan earlier, he needs Chuck Schumer to escort him to the podium like a little old lady at her granddaughter's wedding. It's just, he doesn't seem, he falls off bikes and upstairs and...
Isn't it obnoxious how people are like, oh, do you remember when Donald Trump needed help going down that ramp? It's like...
That's it.
I mean... He had help going down a wet, slippery ramp in, from what I understand, men's dress shoes can be kind of slippery.
I guess so.
Would it have been better if he would have not had help and he would have slipped on a ramp, the President of the United States, and fallen the way anybody who was wearing those type of dress shoes could slip down a ramp? He didn't even really use that much help. The President of the United States now is falling upstairs going on to Air Force One with enough frequency that there's a montage.
Yeah.
When he walked down that ramp, there were about 2 or 3 days of coverage devoted to that. This president is giving the same media outlets, oftentimes the same anchors, that type of material every day, and they won't even touch it. But everybody, that's the thing though, everybody knows. It's not as if they're like, oh, well, the news didn't cover it, so nobody knew about it. Everybody knows this stuff.
When you highlight the fact that Joe Biden isn't all there, the responses are, if you talk about him falling, Donald Trump fell on a ramp. Donald Trump fell on a ramp. That will come up. I put money on it. Donald Trump needed help on a ramp. And then, if you want to talk about if you bring up Joe Biden's mental faculties, then the response is that Donald Trump is a sexual abuser. And I'm here to say, he was found guilty. He was found liable of battery. He was not found liable or guilty of rape. These are strange hairs to be splitting. I don't need that conviction to understand that Donald Trump is a raw kind of dude. And he also doesn't care what any of us think or say about him. He doesn't care. I mean, he's going to be Donald Trump no matter what. I know that his policies were better for my family, for myself, for my country. I understand that Joe Biden is mentally not whole. And anybody, if you bring up that point, and the immediate response is to tell you something about Donald Trump that you may feel is partially true, wholly true, or completely a lie, you start arguing for Donald Trump or against that point, and you're not talking about Joe Biden and the fact that his mental faculties are lacking. Well, this weekend, Ron DeSantis was making the Midwestern rounds. He was at Tazewell County's Lincoln Day dinner. Listen to this.
That your governor said I wasn't welcome in Illinois because I seem to remember when he was locking down this state, he sent his family to my state to live in our freedom.
Yeah, that's factually accurate. J.B. Pritzker said that Ron DeSantis was not welcome in his state, and Ron DeSantis points out, how come when that emergency order was just lifted?
Yeah.
Was it last week?
Last week.
In Illinois, we outlasted the nation. Joe Biden pulled his back. J.B. Pritzker's like, I'm gonna need a minute to check. He is the prominent figure on health for Illinoisans, of course. That's where we look to, J.B. Pritzker, to assess our best health needs. And J.B. Pritzker's family absolutely went to Florida and Wisconsin, I might add, both places that were freer than the state of Illinois. at that given moment. I forgot, and I'm very grateful for Art who reminded us. The other thing that they will remind us when we question the faculties of Joe Biden is they will bring up the State of the Union. And they're like, he was so on it. Senator Coons did this. Senator Coons set the public talking point for leftists and lefties and those who lap up the leftist talking points, if you know any of them. And the idea that Joe Biden just hit a home run on the State of the Union. Why? Because he had coherent sentences. Oh, Joe Biden, what?
C plus.
So I mean, like, he said sentences. He was quick-witted. He said we'll be done with fossil fuels in 10 years. That's not sane. That's not normal. And coherency is a weird standard for the presidency. But I digress. That's the leftist talking point. You will meet it. You will get familiar with it. My recommendation, when you do come acquainted with it, is to just snicker and then move on and then say, Donald Trump, am I right? And then continue. So Ron DeSantis is in the Midwest, and there are people who definitely think that his announcement is imminent. Here's Karl Rove.
I frankly thought it was a good start for DeSantis. He wisely did. In Iowa, they like to see up close and personal. They don't want to be part of a 10,000 person crowd or a 5,000. They want to see up close and personal. And he had several events like that. I thought it was good. I was very impressed with his legislative endorsements. The Republican Senate president and the Republican House leader both endorsed him along with 30 of their colleagues. That's a strong start. And he's being hosted by the Republican congressman in western Iowa, Randy DeFenstra, and that's a Republican stronghold when it comes to the caucus.
Now, if you are taking anything that Karl Rove says, everybody assumes if Karl Rove said it, that means something specific. It doesn't matter what he says.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Karl Rove, am I right?
I almost said, thanks, Karl.
Yeah. I mean, if Karl Rove comes out and says something, it is more about Karl Rove saying it than what he said. Always. For anybody who is invested in a Republican primary. If you don't know what a primary is, you also do not know who Karl Rove is. Am I right?
You're right.
So then Ron DeSantis goes to Iowa.
Both Florida and Iowa show strong leadership and a bold agenda can defeat the left in this country. But there's no substitute for victory. We must reject the culture of losing that has infected our party in recent years. The time for excuses is over. We got to demonstrate the courage to lead and the strength to win. If we do that, if we make 2024 election a referendum on Joe Biden and his failures, and if we provide a positive alternative for the future of this country, Republicans will win across the board. If we do not do that, if we get distracted, if we focus the election on the past or on other side issues, then I think the Democrats are going to beat us again. And I think it'll be very difficult to recover from that defeat.
So this is what's happening with Ron DeSantis. He's talking about issues. He's saying if the next election is going to be about successes and victories and ways to win, then we will win in a massive way. If we continue to live in this culture of losing, it's going to continue to be bad. I look up to my right and I see TMZ is covering politics. It's shocking. The headline, Village People Singer pissed off at Trump. 3 exclamation points. Why do we need 3 exclamation points? It's so sad to me that journalism of the likes of TMZ has given over to the emphatic multiple exclamation point. I hate the multiple exclamation point.
If there was only one, though, you'd think, he's probably kind of pissed. Now you know.
No, to me, all I'm thinking about is no offense, Hannah, Gen Zer who wrote this and thought this is an appropriate headline. This is great, Ron, for actual television.
What about
exclamation points?
Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. You cool with that? I love those.
I'm okay with a question mark, exclamation point.
Okay.
But the multiple one doesn't.
Anyway.
When I said to you that people who don't know what a Republican primary is don't know who Karl Rove is, or what he is in that matter.
What is Karl Rove, really?
That's a fair question. Their understanding of politics is that there's a Village People singer that's mad that Trump is using Macho Man. And they're on the side of the Village People, who they also don't know who they are.
Yeah, which one's the lead singer? Don't they all sing?
Which village? Is it a red village or is it a blue village? I need to know the answers to this question. I mean, it is that stupid.
Yeah, if you said that the lead singer of the Village People's name was Karl Rove, I bet 50% of America would be like, yeah, I know.
Karl Rove.
Yeah.
50%. Probably exactly.
So don't buy this idea that we can't expand our base of support. Of course you can do that. You can't win big with just Republicans. And we proved that. But here's the thing. We didn't do it by trimming our sails. We didn't contort ourselves to be anything that we're not. We led boldly. We led conservatively, and we delivered results, and people responded. So that is a lesson from Iowa with what Governor Reynolds has done, and Florida with what we've been able to do. And at the end of the day, governing is not about entertaining. Governing is not about building a brand or talking on social media and virtue signaling. It's ultimately about winning and about producing results. And that's what you've done in Iowa, and that's what we've done in Florida.
Gosh dang it. So Donald Trump, in his most recent interview, has said that Ron DeSantis needs a personality transplant.
Oh,
What
gosh.
Ron DeSantis was talking about there was kind of boring. It's not to us because we're nerds.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the people. I mean, we're the people who are going to have to be won over in a primary. I said this with Joe Concha, and I will stand by this through the entire 2024 election season. The most important vote that I get to cast is the Republican primary in Illinois, because that vote matters for something. Illinois matters to Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. They want to win Illinois in the primary. They won't breathe near the state afterwards. They might come and do a East Coast, Missouri like rally or something that will bring in some support for some congressional candidates. Illinois 13, which is the district I live in, which is Nikki Budzinski's district. She's a Democrat. That's a Republican winnable election. They might do something in the St. Louis area that brings in some attention to that congressional seat, but they're not going to do anything on the state level because this is not going to be a Ronald Reagan 1984 election situation where, what was it, Minnesota was the only one that he didn't win. That's not going to be what ends up happening. Knowing what is going on in this election and deciding right now what it's going to take to win is what it's going to take to win the 2015-2016 Donald Trump that came in out of nowhere, was an outsider, was a fighter, spoke like no Republican had ever spoken before, said, oh yeah, and then doubled down and punched the bully in the nose. Is that what is going to win in 2024? Does the pendulum swing away from that to somebody who can say scoreboard, 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 scoreboard over and over and over again for what he was able to do in Florida, the things that translate on a national scale, and can come in and say, this is what I want to do if I'm the president of the United States? I don't know. America is going to have to decide. But I think that people really have not considered every poll that you're seeing right now on Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Any poll that's national, throw it in the trash. Doesn't matter. Because they have to win the primaries and the caucuses in order to get the electors that they're going to need to get the nomination. You have to ask yourself how these individual states are going to back these individual candidates. You'll notice that in Florida, that state party hasn't picked a candidate yet. I find that to be interesting because they both live in Florida. And honestly, if you're in Florida, you probably are really torn because you probably would love to see both of these men be president, as would I. But we got to pick one. I'm going to ask you guys right now, and real quick before we take a break. Donald Trump canceled his rally in Iowa, and all of the DeSantis, what are they? I don't even know. I'm not going to say that word in case it's a bad word and I don't know it. All of the DeSantis fanboys and girls on Twitter are saying that they canceled it because there was low turnout. And I've seen videos that suggest maybe there was going to be low turnout. Donald Trump said tornado warnings. I don't believe there were any tornado warnings. It was a tornado watch.
Yeah, it was a watch.
Which we call that Tuesday here in St. Louis. But I mean, if there is bad weather at a tornado, at a Donald Trump rally. If there's a bad weather, there was a tornado watch that was issued early, and bad weather does come in, and Donald Trump doesn't cancel it. That is a huge problem. Massive problem. I wish they would stop saying tornado warnings when they were watches. And for people who know the difference, it is a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if Donald Trump didn't cancel that and bad weather did set in, that would be horrific for like in reality and also politically.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the canceling of the rally?
DeSantis looked good this weekend. There's no way to spin it. I mean, it may be because DeSantis was doing indoor events and he was able to, and Trump was doing outdoor events and he had to cancel. I don't know. Trump, as far as I know, hasn't really addressed it much, because if he had, I think I would have seen it. So generally speaking, between those events that transpired and the clips you just played, DeSantis had a very good weekend.
Brad?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Donald Trump canceling the event because of tornado watches. I understand that means that the conditions are right for a tornado to form, and you don't like when we were at Mendon, Illinois.
We had bad weather.
We had really bad weather right at the very end, but I don't.
And
think
it was beautiful all day, and then bad weather set in.
Yeah,
he went up to the second.
Yeah,
that he had to leave.
What are we? 14 steps or something like that from the car. And
We're
then the
all
skies
standing in
opened up.
the stand. We're all in the stands, and we're all like, do we need to leave? Do we want to be the only people who leave, but also the only people who survive?
Yeah.
Which is it?
It was
So,
wild.
To me, it makes sense. Yeah, don't let people out in the open, because his outdoor rallies are all basically the same setup. It's not. There's no good place to go for shelter if a tornado would come or something like that. So yeah, it makes sense to close it down. But I agree with Ryan. DeSantis had a huge win this weekend because he didn't have to cancel because of weather. He was able to get his message out, and he was very likable in those messages.
I think DeSantis had a successful weekend, not just because he was able to host, his rallies or whatever. I think what he did with them was really successful. I don't have a problem with Trump canceling because of weather. I do have a problem with Trump canceling if it was for low turnout.
Yeah. And
that's what I have a problem with.
Being dishonest about it, but honestly, that's politics. So, I mean, everything in politics is what's the reality? How do we make it sound good for us? That's just what good politics is. Quick break. When we come back, the results of the YouTube live chat poll and some bombshell news regarding, you remember the Durham report? Do you remember Durham? There's one picture of him. There's one picture of this guy. And we're seeing it on our TV screens again. I'm going to give you the brief headline, the brief breaking news, and I guarantee you Mark Reardon is going to be all over this during his show as well. Don't go away. The Annie Frey Show returns in a minute.
Passenger side, I slide on in, vinyl seats off from the heat of the sun.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Can't stop thinking about him, yeah, he's the one.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
So tomorrow night, another Protecting Your Retirement educational event. I'm going to be there. Are you? I sure hope so. The event starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Frontenac Hilton, and I get there at about 6, and I try to meet as many of you as I can for the 30 minutes before the event starts. I shake your hand, talk to you, just kind of get to know you. It's a really, really great pleasure that I get to spend some time with you leading into this great event. At 6:30, Thomas Helbig takes over, and Mark Cox will be there, Mark Reardon will be there. We're going to say some words. We turn it over to Thomas Helbig. And then he takes about 45 minutes of your time. And he explains to you how he and the Retirement Advisory Group can help protect your retirement. He gives it to you right there. He gives it to you straight. If you call to reserve your spot at 314-993-9494, you can get one of the last remaining spots that are available. I would love the opportunity to meet you, so please consider signing up. It is at the Frontenac Hilton tomorrow night, Tuesday, May 16th at 6:30 p.m. Come early if you'd like to get the chance to meet Mark and for me to be able to meet you as well. You can sign up also online by going to retirementkey.com.
Mark Cox here. Have you noticed that for sale signs in your neighborhood have been up longer than normal? Why? They don't have my good friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu with your home sold guaranteed realty. That's why I only recommend you call Gloria Liu. I've been telling you about her for years now. Call Gloria before you list your home. Gloria has the buyers with over 2,400 exclusive buyers in her database looking for a home in your neighborhood. Gloria sells twice as fast and for 5% more money on average when compared with other agents. With Gloria, you sell faster and for more money. She'll guarantee upfront in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and the seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. 314-474-2020. Schedule today and get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Make sure to mention me, Mark Reardon. ZeroResSTL.com.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Get your final votes in on our Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. What is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? The time is 2:49. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Monday afternoon, the very latest on the border crisis. Also, the winners and losers of the 2023 Missouri legislative session.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Just across the bar, my seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And I know I gave it to you months ago. I know you're trying to forget, but between the drinks and subtle things, the holes in my apologies, you know, I'm trying hard to take it back.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. So some breaking news taking place within the last about 10 minutes. Results from the Durham report. Yes, you were thinking of the Crossfire hurricane going all the way back to the genesis of Donald Trump's existence as a politician. The Durham report has been released. It's a 300-page report. I'm just going to read to you some of the highlights that are featured from a Fox News report. This is a quote, based on the review of Crossfire hurricane and related intelligence activities, we conclude that the department and the FBI failed to uphold their mission of strict fidelity to the law in connection with certain events and activities described in this report. This information in part triggered and sustained Crossfire hurricane and contributed to the subsequent need for special counsel Mueller's investigation. In particular, there was significant reliance on investigative leads provided or funded directly or indirectly by Trump's political opponents. The department did not adequately examine or question these materials and the motivations of these, providing them, even when at the same time the director of the FBI and others learned of significant and potentially contrary intelligence. Although recognizing that in hindsight, much is clearer, much of this also seems to have been clear at the time. We therefore believe it is important to examine past conduct to identify shortcomings and improve how the government carries out its most sensitive functions. This is a long time coming, folks. And watching and remembering the coverage of this and how it sucked up so much time for left-leaning and right-leaning media surrounding Donald Trump, and understanding in the end that this was political opposition research that was paid for and funded by political opponents of Donald Trump and spoon-fed to the FBI, to our investigative bureaucracies, and then spoon-fed from them back to the media. It's pretty frightening. Quote, in other instances, FBI personnel working on that same FISA application displayed, at best, a cavalier attitude towards accuracy and completeness. Quote, FBI personnel also repeatedly disregarded important requirements when they continued to seek renewals of that FISA surveillance, while acknowledging, both then and in hindsight, that they did not genuinely believe there was probable cause to believe that the target was knowingly engaged in clandestine intelligence activities on behalf of a foreign power, or knowingly helping another person in such activities. And certain personnel disregarded significant exculpatory information that should have prompted investigative restraint and reexamination. So, of course, this is a developing story. The report released minutes ago, and you got to keep it right here on 97.1 FM Talk, because the Mark Reardon Show will certainly be covering this and the news as it develops. We will have an expert on tomorrow to analyze it as well. If you're with 97.1 all day, you know what to do. Just stay here and stay informed. The YouTube live chat poll?
The YouTube live chat poll today is asking, what is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Is it open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? Let's see. We have 235 votes on our YouTube poll so far. Once again, it is asking, what is the most dangerous threat to our homeland? Open borders, China, reckless spending, or white supremacy? 45% of the 237 votes said that it was open borders. So 45% of the people say open borders is the most dangerous threat to our homeland. 29% of the people said China is the biggest threat. 20% of the people said reckless spending. 5% of you voted that white supremacy is the most dangerous threat to our homeland. Maybe Joe Biden himself logged in to the live stream and voted that.
I'm sure he listens to the show. This is Annie Frey chick.
Annie Frey.
Mm-hmm.
Open borders wins the poll. They say that that's the biggest threat to our homeland.
That doesn't surprise me. I don't think I said what I would vote, but I think that open borders would probably be my vote right now. It's just so influential based on whatever the current headlines are, because they're all huge.
Yeah, there's too many problems. It's part of the reason we're having the poll in the first place.
If white supremacy wasn't, if that option wasn't listed that way, if it were listed as cultural and racial concerns, I would consider that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ease with which people like Joe Biden throw this out there to just rip the scab off the wound and pour some salt in it,
yeah,
that's a problem.
I think that's what that one commenter was talking about earlier in the show that Hannah read, that he said, I see it as a problem because it's creating a divide, and they're using it to create divide in the country.
Yeah, it's just not how Joe Biden implies that it is. All right, well, the Durham report, that's a thing again today. We will get reaction to this. I do believe Hans von Spakovsky is on Mark Cox's morning show on Tuesdays. Was he on this morning?
I think he was on this morning.
He's on this morning? Okay. Well, we'll get his reaction on it certainly on Thursday, and we'll get some other legal experts in to weigh in here throughout the course of the week, because it is big news and it does need to be covered. We appreciate you being with us here today and voting in the YouTube live chat poll. Happy YouTube birthday, Annie Frey Show. Woohoo! Didn't know that. No, that was also discovered just before the Durham report was released.
Breaking news.
And there's Karl Rove with his stupid whiteboard. I'm not even joking. It's unbelievable. The Mark Reardon Show, who doesn't use whiteboards, when we come back.
No matter where you live, what you make, or who you voted for, there are some things that will impact all of us soon.